Welcome back for another weekend of hockey here in North Carolina. Chris Lehman and Grace Motto with you. The first of two matchups this weekend as NC State takes on the United States Naval Academy. Before we get into the matchup for this weekend, though, we're going to take a look back at last weekend. And Grace, last weekend was the first weekend back in Raleigh for the Iceback, and it was a split decision for them. 3-1 winners over Temple, and then a tough third period for them against Westchester in that late night Saturday matchup, and they end up falling to the Golden Rams 8-4 as the final in that one. But for the Iceback, you go 1-1, but you talk to the coaching staff, you talk to the team, there was a lot to work on for them. They didn't really get to the dirty areas the way they needed to.
No, and net front presence is a huge part of hockey. I mean, Temple's goalie didn't really have great control of his rebounds, and that would have been a perfect opportunity to be in that dirty area and really get those rebounds. And having a delayed entry can totally help out NC State. I mean, sometimes you just set yourself up perfectly if you're that third man in.
Yeah, I think you look, one of the best examples of the net front presence that worked out in NC State's favor was the Prasma goal late in the first period against Westchester. He was there on the side of the goal, just in the right spot because he was going to the net, and the puck ended up on his stick and then in the back of the net. So net front presence, being physical in the dirty areas, definitely something that NC State didn't do well in the game. And one of the other things that stuck out to me when I was looking back through the score sheets from last week, that second line for NC State, Ammon, centering Herman and Johnson, not overly productive. The captain, Herman, and Reese Johnson both go without a point in those two games, and just an assist for their center and Jack Ammons. That's not enough from their second line.
No, and not one player can score every point in every game, but you need to have others chip in to help with the scoring. I mean, it's really hard to be a consistent goal scorer, but, you know, at least on your line you can have someone score and, you know, get an apple and help them out. But we didn't really see that a lot last weekend.
No, and when you look at the Navy team that they're going to be taking on here this week, depth is definitely going to be something that NC State needs. The other thing you need really on any team is good goaltending. And we're going to see Pieter Bartelse again tonight. He had a really strong showing, gave up just one goal against Temple last Friday.
And Roberts has been heavily relied on this season, so it's really the perfect opportunity for Pieter to show up and really help out his team.
Absolutely. We talked about Roberts last weekend, nursing a bit of an injury, so he didn't play last weekend. We might see him tomorrow, but with a guy like Bartels playing well, you can have a little bit more leeway with that injury.
And it totally helps on the back end to have a strong leader like Bartels.
Absolutely. It's going to be needed tonight against the Midshipmen of the Naval Academy. When we come back, we're going to take a look closer at those Midshipmen. NC State Navy coming up shortly. little less than 10 minutes until puck drop between NC State and Navy. Chris Lehman back with Grace Motto as we get set for this one between the United States Naval Academy and the NC State Ice Pack. And as we look at Navy now coming in, one thing that I think is going to be really important, or at least something to keep an eye on in the first 5 minutes of the game, is how the Midshipmen come out. They haven't played in over a month, and anyone who's played hockey knows if you go that long without playing, you got to catch up to game speed. And
Coach talked about how they work out regularly. They have a strict regimen, but sometimes you can work out as much as you like, but it doesn't really translate to playing on the ice. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how they kind of bounce back after a long break.
Yeah, and one thing they do have going for them is they get out on the ice to practice 4 times a week. They've had 10 practices since coming back, so even though they haven't played a game, they have had a lot of time to get reacquainted and get back up to speed with each other. Now, you look at their schedule, there are some pretty recent games for NC State that you can use as a measuring stick for this one, particularly Westchester and Temple. Now, as any team does, particularly a college team, you have your ups and downs. Navy did not have their best against Temple, actually ended up falling to the Owls, but they did split a 2-game series with the Golden Rams. So this is a team that should be pretty equivalent to what we saw in that second game last weekend, so it should be a tough test for NC State. But being a naval academy, being a military academy, these players are built different than your normal club hockey team.
I feel like they are a definitely disciplined team. Coach was talking about how I feel like you could tell how proud of his team he truly is.
Absolutely, and one of the things, you look at discipline, you talk about penalty minutes. We were looking at that before the start of this broadcast. Leading in penalty minutes is Laughlin for the Midshipmen at 39. NC State has a couple of guys, including, no surprise, Daniel Prasma, who likes to mix it up, at 54. So a little bit more disciplined team that you have out of Navy, which is to be expected, but something we talk about a lot with NC State and with any game at the college level. Discipline is going to be important because special teams can be a difference maker.
Truly, special teams, we've talked about it time and time in this broadcast. They can be the difference of a goal or -1.
Yeah, I know. If you're NC State, they had some trouble on the power play. They did get it going later, but they've struggled on the power play as of the last couple of weekends, so special teams will certainly be important for them. But these two teams are playing 2 games this weekend. They'll be down in Fayetteville tomorrow for an afternoon game, so it's going to be a quick turnaround. It'll be interesting how this game impacts that one.
And you kind of get a leg up when you play a team the night before, but it'll depend on who's really that tired.
Absolutely. We're going to take one more break here. When we come back, we'll take a closer look at the home team, the Ice Pack, on the other side.
Welcome to Moe's! At Moe's, we've always been inviting, but we have a bigger story to tell. A place that welcomes you to be you. Fresh, high-quality ingredients. We got that. Go ahead, do your thing. Come on, let's get weird. We don't judge. Moe's wants you to come in with your crew and their appetites. Dine in, pick up, or order on the Mo Rewards app. Either way, don't just stroll in, roll all in to Moe's Southwest Grill.
We talk forever about the future. Worry about it, or wish it closer. We try to glimpse the places we'll go. From ocean depths to the far side of the moon. At NC State University, the future is a thing you make. With bright ideas, new tools, and a wolf pack behind you. Tell us where you're headed. We'll help you get there. NC State. Think and do.
When you look at me, you might see
a person with Parkinson's disease.
But if you look closer,
you'll see
a warrior mom,
an endurance athlete,
someone with a lot of fight.
Every 9 minutes, someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson Disease Association.
Look closer.
My spirit is unshakable. Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show your support today.
When the game is on the line, championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing, because online safety is not something you want to fumble. Get more game-winning tips at CISA.gov/secure our world. Then share them with family and friends.
Children exposed to poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children with good air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this, providing filtration technology to school children with poor air quality through the Clean Air for Kids program, helping kids to breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, removing barriers to learning, reducing sick days, and increasing test scores. This is all key to environmental and climate justice. Find out how you can help at iqairfoundation.org.
Well, I'm looking good. Thank you. Just became a real ID. What's the plan? Impromptu road trip? Actually, the plan is to fly to New York for today's product launch, and then visit the family in California, and cap it off with a girls' weekend in New Orleans. You really can just do all that. Sure, I'm a real ID, so I'm good to board any domestic flight. Speaking of which, gotta fly. Nice. Enjoy. I'll be here.
Be your Real ID self today. To learn how, visit tsa.gov/realid or your local DMV.
The lights are off here at Invisalign Arena, and we're closing in on puck drop between NC State and Navy. Now we're going to turn our focus to the home team in the ice pack. And as we talked about last weekend, they weren't able to get to the dirty areas. They really didn't do the little things well. And hockey is a sport where if you take care of the little things, the big things tend to follow.
Yeah, I mean, the little things truly add up, like you just said. And I really want to focus on situational awareness. I'm just going to jump right in. So I feel like NC State, in both their games, they kind of lacked in seeing where everyone was. And, taking that extra second to make a good pass, to bank it off the boards, and see where, NC State jersey was.
Yeah, I think the other thing for NC State is going to be how they deal with the forecheck today. You talk about situational awareness. I think that leads right into that breakout. You've got to look up and find the open man. There were a few times where we saw NC State try to go up the middle, and it just wasn't going to work because there was a man there that they didn't see. So you have to be able to find that man and get out of the zone cleanly as well. And then I also want to take a look, again, we talked about Bartelse between the pipes tonight. He has been really, really good when called upon, and he's going to have to be good tonight against the Midshipmen.
And when you focus on defense, offense takes care of itself. So the importance, I feel like tonight, is focusing on defense.
Absolutely. It's going to be about building a game from the back when you're playing against a team that's going to be as disciplined as this Navy team is going to be. You've got to be able to play good, disciplined defense. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have starting lineups and the puck drop as well as mottos up next. Welcome back to Invisalign Arena. We're just about set for the national anthem. NC State and Navy on the blue lines will throw it down to the ice. With that, we're just about ready to play some hockey here at Invisalign Arena. Chris Lehman alongside Grace Motto. And before we get into the game, we got to get to Motto's mottos. So, Grace, what do we have for this evening?
Well, classes for me and the rest of the Ice Pack started on Monday, unfortunately. So this week they're back to school theme, and every time I say back to school, I think of that Billy Madison song that he sings. So first point is everyone's favorite time on the school day, recess. As a kid, we would always use that pent-up energy and leave it out on the playground. But right now for the Ice Pack, you've been gearing up for this matchup all week, so you got to leave it all out there on the ice. Next point is show and tell. NC State has talked about the adjustments that need to be made from last week's games, so now you got to go out and execute those changes. I mean, the saying goes, you can talk the talk, but can you really walk the walk? That'll be the big question ahead of tonight's game. And last point is star student. You want to be a star student, and just showing up doesn't earn you that award. You really got to earn it, and it takes effort and grit.
Love it. Great points for this evening as NC State and Navy get squared away at center ice. NC State in the dark uniforms will move right to left here in the first period, moving left to right in those gold and navy uniforms. United States Naval Academy. It'll be Herman on the draw up against the captain, Bobby Cunningham of the Midshipmen. NC State controls off the draw, and here we go. The first of two this weekend between the Naval Academy and the Ice Pack. A lot of speed for this Navy team. We saw it during warm-ups. See how NC State handles it. Up the far side, Millinette. Rink wide in the skates of a teammate there. It'll be corralled by Wallstrom and shot around. Navy with a quick change here early. I think that's what they're going to be looking to do all game, Grace, is play quickly, play with pace, and get off the ice as quickly as possible. About 45 seconds gone. NC State in their own zone. Labrizzi finds the captain, Zach Herman, on the far side. They'll step out of pressure and walk it into the zone. Nobody with him, so he floats it deep as NC State gets a change. Herman's still out there. Pass around him and flipped up and out by Butler Chesson. Kaufman to the loose puck at the red line. He'll lay it back in. At the defense, Jason Fisher. Fisher was one of the players Coach Rooney highlighted for us pregame. A lot of speed coming off the back end. He is their highest point producer with 6 goals and 9 assists on the defensive side of the puck. Battle for it in that near corner. NC State comes away with it. Kaufman outlets for Prasma. He's going to float it in and go after it himself behind the goal. Tied up there along the side of the net by Josh Reed. Puck squirts out in front. Navy gets to it first. They'll rush up ice with it. Here's Wallstrom trying to chip it in. Knocked down inside the blue line by Darlene, and he'll clear. And now Bartels behind his own net stops the dump in. A lot of speed here early.
A good start by NC State.
Shook steps around one man, tries to walk through another, loses the puck. Gouvet on the follow-up, side of the goal, and they can't stuff it home. Prasma was right there. It was a bit of an awkward pass from Govea, and it kind of hogtied him a little bit.
Chris, we talked about that delayed entry and how that can really help you out in the offensive zone.
Now behind the net, Govea looking out in front. They score! Gifford on the one-time, and NC State takes the lead.
And they were chomping at the bit for that one.
Well, we wondered how Navy would look coming out the gate. And I wouldn't necessarily even say that they've looked bad. They've looked quick and they've looked crisp, but for NC State, getting this first goal is big.
We truly talked about how getting that first point can make a difference in the rest of the game.
So a little over 2 minutes in fact, 2 minutes and 15 seconds in, Gifford from Govea, and NC State has the 1-0 lead. But it'll be interesting to see how long the pace stays up. This is really, really quick early in the game. Blake Powers looking for space. That's a teammate Wad looking to break out. Powers, or Nahaus rather, spinning out of pressure and shooting it deep. Well, Navy has not been able to establish themselves in the offensive zone yet. Still early on, shots 2-0 NC State. Here's Brandon Raleigh, gains the red line. He'll play one into the corner far side. Giancani in on the forecheck. It's shot up the wall for Ian Cady. Midshipmen clear the zone. Labrizzi. His pass intercepted. It'll be shot right back to him. Now Lapani. Forward Rakani gets a touch to it, deflects it right to a midshipman. That's Tushy. And he'll clear it back into the NC State zone. But again, Navy not getting into the zone. They have not been able to break into the NC State zone. They haven't really possessed the puck much in the offensive end. Here's a chance to carry in, though, for Powers. He'll get around his man. Looks to the middle. Loose puck skitters through the slot. Nobody there on either side. About 4 minutes gone now in the period. 2-0, or rather 2-0 the shots, 1-0 in the goal category in favor of NC State. Labrizzi to Lapani. Back to the middle, he's got Herman. Herman stood up at the blue line, loose puck left there, and will be turned back up by Mac Murphy. Murphy plays it into the far corner. On the forecheck, Cunningham. Able to jar it loose, and it will be deflected on goal for Bartels to swallow up. But a solid start here from NC State. We talked about getting to the dirty areas. They've done that a little better here, at least in the first 4+ minutes.
Yes, Chris, I feel like maybe they were listening in on our broadcast. But so far, I feel like Navy, the name of the game for Navy has been dump and chase. And they have gotten the first guy there, but it really matters getting the second guy there to angle.
Get a chance to dump and chase again here. Rainbow pass in from Nahaus. Pressure behind the NC State goal. Be forced to ping pong it back and forth. It'll be held in at the blue line now. Brister from Wad deflects out of the zone. And NC State has a chance on the forecheck. Nahaus through the middle. Bouncing puck settled down by Andrew Penka. He'll hand it off, stepping in. Save made by Bartels in tight. On Butler, Chesson. Chesson leading goal scorer for the Midshipmen with 12 in 20 contests so far this season.
Chris, what are you seeing from the Midshipmen so far?
I think the speed is the thing that sticks out the most. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the forecheck and the dump and chase. They have not established themselves well on the forecheck. That was particularly, I think, what the Golden Rams did. Westchester did really well against NC State last weekend. As a turnover at the blue line could spell trouble, but it's out of the zone for offside. So I think that's the main thing. I think, one, NC State's doing a good job of handling it, but I don't think it's been overly effective either from Navy, or efficient, rather. But that's kind of the name of the game right now, is NC State has handled the dump and chase with relative ease. And they've been able to get in on the offensive end a couple of times. Gifford collides with a man over on the near side. That was Nahaus. Play will carry on as Tushy moves in. Forced into the corner. The clearance is held in front of the NC State bench. Chip forward for Gifford. That pass intercepted, though. Ice Pack will have to retreat behind their own goal. Kyler Sugg now under some pressure. Mason Root in there. Looking out in front. Nobody there with a gold jersey. Now Tushy from the blue line wrists it just wide. And Sun takes it off the back wall. He's dispossessed by Douglas Carr. He worked around the wall. NC State can't get to it. It'll be shot right back in by Jack Tushy. NC State going to get some relief here as Navy needs to make a change. Now Nick Shook will deflect it in as NC State does the same. Josh Reed weaving through the neutral zone. Looking to nail the ice. Murphy unable to settle a bouncing puck. Labrizzi knocks it over for Austin Finch. He finds Raleigh up the far wall. He'll play it into the neutral zone, and Navy can shoot it right back in from there. As it'll be picked up by Blake Powers. Circling with it. Hands it off at the blue line. It'll be elevated in by Nahaus. NC State can start the breakout again. Raleigh deflects it up into the ceiling, and we'll get a stoppage here with 13:11 left in the period, but not a whole lot of offense. And we talked a lot about how Navy hasn't been able to get into the offensive zone, but since NC State scored, they haven't had much zone time themselves.
No, I think they really have been just trying to get the puck out. I mean, it's been turnover central in the neutral zone, but we spoke about situational awareness, and there was a pass by Kyler Sun just straight into the Navy's D, which would have given them a leg up.
NC State will stop it up at their own blue line. To be carried down deep now by Wallstrom. He'll look out in front, sealed off on that far post by Bartels, and NC State retrieves it behind their own net. It's Darlene. He'll look up the middle, diving play by Raleigh to get a touch to it. Good hustle play as he needed a change, and now Nahaus will track it down for the Midshipmen. Up the near wall, it'll be backhanded to the middle. A little bit of trouble for Millenette. As Herman there to pressure, and now it'll be chopped in by Nahaus. Mason Payne to it first. Moved along for Darlene. His pass picked off in the high slot. Navy with a good chance in tight. Darlene gonna take a penalty to prevent that goal. But speaking of situational awareness,
I mean, that was a tough play. I mean, do you give up a goal or do you give up a penalty? I mean, we could never know now for sure if that puck would have went in, but there was a good chance that that puck was probably going to go in.
Well, and that pass was exactly what we highlighted in the pregame as that breakout pass where they weren't paying attention to what was going on up the middle. And as a result, it's a turnover that leads to, as you mentioned, what very likely could have been a goal and will now be a 2-minute power play as Darlene sits in the box for 2 minutes. See the signal from the official. It'll either be hooking or tripping. Either way, he's in there for 2 minutes unless Navy scores.
But this will allow Navy to get some time to regain their mechanics.
Maybe get some offensive zone time as well as the puck cleared out of play at the NC State blue line. They appear to be pointing to the NC State zone, so it will be an offensive zone draw here for Navy. But I did hear it over the public address system from our PA announcer Aaron Preston. It was a hooking penalty. So 2 minutes for hooking on Darlene. Still 1:40 left to serve on that sentence. Face-off won by the Midshipmen. At the blue line, pressure from Finch. He can't clear. And now numbers for Navy. Slid through the middle. Nobody gets a stick to it. Tracked down by Katie in that far corner. He'll play catch down low. Looking cross ice, pass tipped, but it still gets through. Hesitating and shooting is Chesson. That deflects high. We're starting to see Navy get set up here on the power play. Back up for Chesson. He'll walk it down low. Surveying. Hands it off at the hashes. Shot fought off there by Bartels as Laughlin let one rip. NC State has it in that far corner. Cam Smith trying to clear it around the wall and out, and he does halfway through the penalty kill.
And that gives NC State a chance to change their penalty kill unit.
Very important there to get the fresh legs out with speed through neutral ice down that far side. Jason Fisher, the defenseman, pickpocketed at the blue line, and the ice pack clear once again. Shot totals are low here in the first 9 minutes. 2-2 are the shots as Navy enters off sides. 10:56 to go here in the period, and only one shot so far for Navy on the power play as well, despite some good time in the offensive end.
NC State did a phenomenal job of keeping everyone outside. I mean, you saw, one shot on goal, on net, maybe another one kind of just whizzed past the net, but they've done a great job being aggressive on the penalty kill.
Here's a chance for Navy to be aggressive, walking in, pass to the middle, picked off by Ammons, and Jack Ammons will clear the zone. Retreating for it now, Millenette. Slide it down deep on the forecheck is Bobby Cunningham. He'll seal off Lapani. Puck is there to be collected, and Navy has it as they're down to the final 10 seconds of power play time. Giancani and Labrizzi in there for NC State. Midshipmen win the battle, though. Back up top for Nahaus. They'll work it D to D. Shot gets caught up in traffic in front, kicked away on the rebound by Bartels. Not sure if it was on net or not, but NC State able to kill off the first penalty of the evening. Labrizzi will skate it forward now. Skates through some pressure right up the middle. He'll carry it in himself, throws it off the blocker of the goaltender Smarghese. Now NC State can get back to the forecheck at 5-on-5. Kaufman has his dump in intercepted. Prasma looks to lay a hit, but stepping around him, Ian Cady sends it in behind the NC State net. Now Darlene up the near side. Puck elevated through the neutral zone, bouncing puck, tough to handle for Reed. And now NC State's Rady on the forecheck, lost an edge behind the net, and NC State's going to get called for another penalty here. It'll be a hooking call. And I think they're going to take Rady as well. And he's confused. It's going to be a hooking penalty against number 23, Josh Reed of Navy. And my guess is embellishment on Rady for NC State.
Kind of a confusing penalty call.
I'm waiting to see both penalties go up. I think it's going to be 4-on-4 hockey here. But both number 23s are in the penalty box. We'll have to see if we can catch the announcement as to what the penalty is on NC State's Rady. I saw him give the T signal, which I think would be like an unsportsmanlike conduct or an embellishment penalty, I would assume. Not sure what else it would be there. But it is 4-on-4 hockey for 2 minutes.
Hey, the name of 4-on-4 is man-on-man coverage.
Neutral zone. Kaufman trying to settle it down. Mason Payne over for Darlene. And now Kaufman receives the stretch pass. He'll walk in. Throws it right into the goaltender Smarghese.
And that was a great pass, seeing that Kaufman was kind of swinging towards the boards. That really opened up the rest of the offensive zone for him to go in and take that open ice to shoot.
I was listening in, and it was, in fact, a penalty for embellishment on NC State's Aiden Rady, which is why we're playing 4-on-4 hockey here. It'll be brought back out by the midshipmen. Loose in the middle of the ice, collected by Navy and skated back in by Jason Fisher. Shot fought off by Bartels and kicked into the corner. First one there is Patrick Laughlin for the Naval Academy. He'll play it through the middle, track down, sent to the middle, spinning shot, and it gets kicked wide. Oh, I thought it was in. What a chance there, and an amazing save by Pieter Bartelse. Here's Herman picking up the loose puck. He's got Johnson with him, and Johnson disrupted from behind. A good back check from Fisher, where NC State could have had another.
And that's the type of hockey you want to see. You get a shot on your own goalie, take it back, and do the exact same thing.
A heck of a sequence there as NC State takes back control. Aerial pass knocked down by Brandon Raleigh. He'll shoot it in from the red line. NC State looks to set up the forecheck. As it's played up the wall, but not out. Connie holds the blue line. Millenette to it now for the Naval Academy. He's able to find Aiden Wallstrom. Nice catch with Fisher. Wallstrom looking to the middle, hits a skate, and Connie first to the loose puck. He'll move in with speed, has Raleigh with him. Connie's shot, bodied down by Smarghese. NC State will hold the zone far side. It's Kyler Sun. He'll throw it down to the goal line. Knocked into the corner, bouncing puck, works its way back out to the blue line. Connie unable to settle it. Now the Midshipmen will slow things down. Back to 5-on-5 hockey as the 2 penalties expire. About 7.5 minutes left in this first period. NC State with a 1-0 lead. Navy starting to find their footing. Wad plays it deep. Lapani will shoot it right back up the wall. Nick Shook has it caught up in his feet. He'll kick it forward and force his way out of the zone, but at the red line, it's Mason Rudin shutting him down. Now Govea, he gets hooked up. Able to get back to the puck. Hacked at now by Shook over on the side wall. Navy able to come away with it with numbers. Katie has his pass intercepted at the blue line by Labrizzi. Able to hold it right along the line. Gifford gets to a loose puck. Oh, he couldn't quite settle it, but Smarghese has lost his stick. NC State with some pressure here and an opportunity. Labrizzi deflected, they score! Govea makes it 2-0.
And as a goalie, it's really hard to play without a stick. And NC State really just pounced on that opportunity.
Govea now with a goal and an assist. Labrizzi also with an assist. The secondary, I believe, will go to Gifford behind the net. But this has been a strong start from NC State. It hasn't been their best end-to-end game so far, but they positioned themselves nicely.
And that started with getting to the dirty areas, getting right in front of the net.
NC State will win the neutral zone face-off and go right back on the attack. Herman intercepts a breakout pass. Leaves it for Johnson. He can't hold the zone as he drops it off for Darlene. NC State will have to reset. Herman in with pressure. Ammons follows up, but it's still cleared out by Josh Reed. Now Darlene looking to the middle. His pass hops the stick of Johnson. Navy looking to break it out. Breakout pass from Powers hits a skate. He'll try again up the far side. Mason Payne to the puck at the red line. It's loose now for Ammons to pick up. At the top of that far circle, his wrist shot is shut down. And they'll battle for it in the near corner. Pops loose for Dylan Nahaus. He'll advance it for Millinette. And now Navy will go back to the dump and chase.
Which sometimes can be really hard to defend against if you have that speed, if F1 is applying so much pressure, but NC State has recovered nicely.
Here's Ammons. Nifty little chip play by Kaufman to advance the puck. Rady gets to it in the corner. Behind the net, he'll leave it. Picked up by the Naval Academy and skated out. Through a lot of traffic for Ray Sun. He's able to move through anyhow. Shot from the near side. Not much of a challenge there for Bartels. Navy still with pressure. Spun back in by Benny Watt. Sent right back the other way by Prasma. He'll chip and chase with Rady, who forces it deep. Prasma back to it. Pulling it out in front. And he scores! Oh, he snuck it short side on Smarghese, and it's 3-0.
I barely saw that even go in. I bet you that goalie thought he kind of sealed off the post up by his shoulders, but ultimately didn't.
Well, NC State taking advantage of every top opportunity they get. We'll get a little bit more of an up-close look at it.
That's a hard angle goal. I mean, he was right at the goal line.
I'm not 100% sure where it snuck through. I believe it went short side, but there wasn't a whole lot of room because it did look like Smarghese was mostly sealed up against the post. So a tough test now for the Naval Academy, as all of a sudden, in the span of about 2.5 minutes, or more like 1.5 minutes, and a little bit more, it's gone from 1-0 to 3-0. And NC State again with pressure in the offensive zone. Bouncing puck escapes into neutral ice for Mason Rudin. He'll step through the defense, walking in. He's turned around and couldn't get a good shot away. NC State defending well there. Kaufman up the far side. He sees Labrizzi with space cross ice and finds his defenseman. Labrizzi steps away from a check. He'll twirl it down low for Kaufman. Looking through the blue paint. Can't connect there with Brandon Raleigh. and NC State will have to get back out as Navy clears. Lapani will shovel it in now, under 4 to play in the period. Now Nahaus retreats back behind his own net. You can see a big difference in the effectiveness of NC State's forecheck versus Navy's forecheck here in this first period. Laughlin along the blue line for Nahaus. He'll look down deep. It's wrapped around the wall. Brandon Raleigh breaks it out for Austin Finch. Finch into the zone, leaves it for Connie. He's looking to sweep it deep, but that is deflected and taken away by Nahaus. Defenseman moving it along and escapes the grasp of Fisher. Darlene pitching in, slides it back down the boards. Shook to it. He'll work down low. Shoulders off a hit from Nahaus, but under some pressure from Butler. Chesanen can't maintain control. Fisher turns it over. Shook looking out in front. Oh, it's touched just wide by Govea, looking for his second. NC State in tight there. And NC State around the net. Night and day from last week, Grace.
I mean, when you add constant pressure on a team, it's really hard for them to get out of that. And, you know, I feel like Navy so far has kind of collapsed. I mean, you saw 1 or 2 good breakouts, but since then, it's been really hard for them.
Darlene trying to be a one-man breakout there. That doesn't work out, but he gets back and disrupts the centering pass. Still loose in the high slot, and a glove save made by Bartels on the shot there from Douglas Carr. 2.5 to go in this first period. NC State right now being outshot 8-6, but their conversion rate on those shots on goal pretty darn good. 3 of those 6 have ended up in the back of the net.
Hey, I mean, the quality of shot is really what matters here.
I mean, that was one thing that I think you highlighted before the Westchester game last week. NC State only scored 3 goals on 39 shots against Temple on Friday. And really, you take away the empty netter, it's 2 goals on 38 shots for the Ice Pack. And the big difference there was the quality of shots. They had chances to clean it up in front, weren't there. Tonight, I think they've been much better in front of the net. Tie up off the face-off. Navy wins and clears. This should be icing as Tate Sodden is the first back to it. And we'll come back to the end of the Naval Academy here with 2:13 to go in the period.
But you mentioned the Temple game, which I thought was a really close game. I mean, you have the empty netter at the end of the period, but how many people did that really go through? I mean, there wasn't a goalie there, but NC State, truly, it's been a night and day game from last weekend.
It shows on the scoreboard as well. 3-0 lead over Navy. Sodden, shot from the blue line, caught the pad of Smarghese. It'll be retrieved now by Jack Ammons. The hash as he stops far side, looking down into the corner for Herman under pressure. Settles down a bouncing puck, floats it out into the middle. That'll be picked off and skated back out by Navy. As Sodden steps up near the red line, he'll poke it into the Navy bench. And we'll get a face-off on top of the Midshipmen's blue line here with 1:52 to go in the period.
And I always thought these face-offs were kind of hard. I mean, you win it back and you can go across, but
definitely limited by the blue line as to what you can do off the hop there. NC State will elect to go with the dump and chase. Behind the net, Nahaus trying to skate it out himself. Pressure from behind by Herman, squirts it loose, and NC State's able to hold the zone. Kyler Sun shot through traffic, rebound there, chopping away. Herman couldn't get a touch to it, and now Navy will skate it back out. It's Bobby Cunningham. Cunningham stepping in. Ooh, Navy was almost off sides there. It's a shot from the blue line, swallowed up by the glove of Bartels. And NC State will have a face-off in front of their netminder here. So look at that last chance on the bouncing puck. A lot of bouncing pucks tonight, Chris.
I mean, you said it perfectly. I feel like Bartels right now, he's seeing everything. He's, I mean, great with his blocker, great with his glove, and he's been, I mean, from my angle, it looked like one of those Navy goals almost trickled in, but he really did a great job of kicking it out.
Might be under some pressure here. NC State having to defend in their own end here. Up at the blue line. Dropped off, it's caught up in the skates of Tucci. He's able to force it deep, and Navy will continue to work. Slid down into the corner. NC State first to it, Labrizzi. Looking up the ice, he's got Prasma with space and speed. Prasma forcing his way in. Save made by Smargazy, and he'll pounce on the rebound. Just under a minute left in the period, but a nice look from Labrizzi to find Prasma there.
And we saw in another instant, Labrizzi had the puck and took it basically all the way up to the goalie. I mean, if you're Navy, you would hate to see that a defender had all that time and space to go in and shoot.
Well, they were saved by the speed of one of their best defensemen, Jason Fisher, who was able to cut off the angle on Prasma and force the shot. Otherwise, one of NC State's best offensive players would have been in on a breakaway. Tushy below his own goal line, looking up the middle. Rady gets a stick to it. It'll be poked along, though, by Rudin, who stood up by Lapani at the blue line. Hardest hit we've seen so far. Navy still on the attack, though. Along the near wall, it'll be chipped out off the wall by Kaufman. And now NC State and Navy can make some changes. Just 20 seconds left in the period. This pack looking for space. Lapani stretching it out for Giancani. He chips it up into the netting, and we'll get a stoppage with 10 seconds left in the period. Didn't take long for NC State to get on the scoreboard. Jake Gifford finished the pass from behind the net off the stick of Joey Govea to make it 1-0. And then it took a little while, a little over 10 minutes of play before Joey Govea himself put one in the back of the net to make it 2-0. And not long after that, Prasma added another one. And NC State will take a 3-0 lead into the first intermission. But Grace, we talked about a good number of things, and for NC State last week, it was not a great 2 games. There was a lot for them to work on and improve upon, and I think at least for 20 minutes so far, they've been able to do just that.
And we talked about how important it is to really show up in the first period. I mean, that sets the tone for the rest of the game, and NC State kind of took to heart everything they needed to work on. I mean, they focused on it all week during practice, and we talked about how Navy hasn't had a game since, a month ago? And I mean, it kind of did translate a little bit onto the ice so far.
Yeah, I think the other thing that worked out in NC State's favor, I mentioned it took 10, 11 minutes for them to score that second goal. That was when it felt like Navy had started to get their footing. They'd got some momentum from the power play. They got a little bit more momentum from playing 4-on-4. And then NC State kind of shut that down. And I think you could tell at the end of the period that they kind of deflated the Midshipmen a little bit.
Yes, I'm just watching them kind of go off into the locker room. I mean, I saw a couple players from Navy with their heads down, but I feel like Coach Rooney has, when we talked to him pregame, he had a lot to say about how resilient his players were. So we'll probably see a change when they come out for the second period.
All right, now both teams are off to the locker room to discuss period number 1. We're off to a break. We'll be back with the first intermission. 3-0 NC State after 20.
Welcome back to Invisalign Arena. I'm Grace Motto, joined by NC State's Joey Govea, who got on the board so far. I mean, you got an assist off the first goal. Second goal, you kind of added a little more to it. So what's been the key to generating all these chances so far? I mean, you guys are up 3-0 headed into the second.
I think we're just playing calm and composed hockey. You know, we got to work early. We came out flying. The emphasis this game was come out and play 60 minutes. So I think the quick start, getting it deep and going to work's kind of been how we've been getting our chances.
So Chris and I have talked about how important it is to get a quick start, and I mean, you guys already have 3 under your belt. So can you go a little more into depth about what you guys think about getting a couple on the board in the first period?
Yeah, I think that's really big for us. We've kind of been fighting the last few games, trying to find, you know, some composure on the bench, you know, getting to work, and I think those few are really getting under our belt early has kind of helped us get on our horse.
Mm-hmm. So how are you guys keeping the focus from shift to shift? I mean, you have the momentum behind you right now, but after each shift, I mean, you might have the puck in your zone for a while. What are you guys thinking?
I think it's just getting back to our identity. Coming into the game where we knew we were going to play simple, we knew we were going to play hard. I think getting back to that's really been it's been getting us able to, continue to go hard and continue to score.
So, last question for me is, what should we expect to see from you guys next period?
We're going to come out flying and keep kicking ass.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I'm Grace Motto, and Chris will be after this.
Awesome.
Welcome to Moe's! At Moe's, we've always been inviting, but we have a bigger story to tell. A place that welcomes you to be you. Fresh, high-quality ingredients. We got that. Go ahead, do your thing. Come on, let's get weird. We don't judge. Moe's wants you to come in with your crew and their appetites. Dine in, pick up, or order on the Mo Rewards app. Either way, don't just stroll in, roll all in to Moe's Southwest Grill.
We talk forever about the future, worry about it, or wish it closer. We try to glimpse the places we'll go, from ocean depths to the far side of the moon. At NC State University, the future is a thing you make, with bright ideas, new tools, and a wolf pack behind you. Tell us where you're headed. We'll help you get there. NC State. Think and do.
When you look at me, you might see
a person with Parkinson's disease.
But if you look closer,
you'll see
a warrior mom,
an endurance athlete,
someone with a lot of fight.
Every 9 minutes, someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson Disease Association.
Look closer.
My spirit
is unshakable.
Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show your support today.
When the game is on the line, championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing, because online safety is not something you want to fumble. Get more game-winning tips at CISA.gov/secure-our-world. Then share them with family and friends.
Children exposed to poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children with good air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this, providing filtration technology to school children with poor air quality through the Clean Air for Kids program, helping kids to breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, removing barriers to learning, reducing sick days, and increasing test scores. This is all key to environmental and climate justice. Find out how you can help at IQAirFoundation.org.
Well, I'm looking good. Thank you. Just became a real ID. What's the plan? Impromptu road trip? Actually, the plan is to fly to New York for today's product launch, and then visit the family in California and cap it off with a girls' weekend in New Orleans. You really can just do all that. Sure, I'm a real ID, so I'm good to board any domestic flight. Speaking of which, gotta fly. Nice. Enjoy. I'll be here.
Be your Real ID self today. To learn how, visit tsa.gov/realid or your local DMV.
NC State off to a fantastic start after 20 minutes against the United States Naval Academy. It is a 3-0 lead for the Iceback. Chris Lehman back alongside Grace Motto. And Grace, we're going to take a look at how we got there as NC State was able to get going early in this one. And here's a look at the first goal. Joey Govea finds Gifford out in front, and Jake Gifford gives NC State the lead.
And we spoke about how important it is to get that first goal on the board. I mean, the final score really does determine the most, but it truly helps with momentum.
And here's a look at the Prasma goal, and that's the view we wanted to see. Did he sneak it in? There's just a little bit of space in between the post and the goaltender Smargazy that Prasma was able to find. The other thing that we really talked about in the pregame as well was net front presence that NC State didn't have last week. Govea's goal, that second one that we saw, a deflection out in front. So I think we're starting to see NC State do the things they didn't do last week.
And we saw a bunch of delayed entries. I mean, some of those rebounds were right out in front for NC State, and they could have gotten there a little quicker, but at the end of the day, I mean, they got 3 up on the board.
Yeah, and as you look at the other side of the puck as well, particularly, we talked about him a lot, Pieter Bartelse. He had a great game against Temple last week. Coach had a lot of really good things to say about him before practice last night when I talked to him about his starter tonight, and Bartelse has looked strong again tonight. He was tested a little bit more early and then again a little bit more late, but he stood tall, and there were a few tough shots to face. He stood up to each task.
And he stood the test of the first period. I'm very excited to see how many saves he'll have next.
Yeah, he's going to certainly, I think, see more from Navy in period number 2. That's one thing that the Naval Academy is going to have to work on, is getting time in the zone. They are technically leading in shots on goal 9-8, but one thing you talked about, quality of shots. NC State's quality of shots have been a lot better. Talking about Bartels, here are some quality chances from Navy. That's one of the big ones in tight, and a big reason NC State was able to hold on to that lead.
And for Navy, I mean, they've done a great job of sometimes maybe getting the puck out of their zone, but they have to focus on when they're in NC State's zone, getting those quality, getting different angles, causing chaos and having their own net front presence.
Yeah, and one more look from behind at Bartels on this save out in front. That's the best save of the game. One of the best saves of the season so far. And again, I don't think we can say enough about the way Pieter Bartelse has played so far. A big reason NC State's lead is a 3-goal lead. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look ahead at period number 2. little over 5 minutes until puck drop on period number 2. NC State leading the US Naval Academy 3-0 after 20 minutes. And Grace, as we take a look ahead at the second 20 minutes, I think the big thing that we've talked about is the difference in forechecks. NC State has done a really good job of getting in and getting in hard on the forecheck. Navy has not made it as hard on NC State to break out of their own end.
And it's been a game of pressure. When NC State is really on top of Navy, I mean, they kind of took away the game from Navy.
Yeah, they're really taking away their options there, I think, is the big thing. They're swallowing up passing lanes and making it really difficult to get out with possession of the puck. And I think if you're NC State, if you can keep doing that, it's going to be a really, really fun night. But I think if you're Navy, you've got to find a way to get into the offensive zone.
And you have to be creative with it, too. I mean, you can go back behind your own net, have your D do maybe a reverse pass, but at the end of the day, you can also, chip it off the boards, chip it off high off the glass to get the puck out. I mean, if you're keeping the puck in your own zone, it takes a tax on you and you get worn down.
Yeah, and another thing that we've talked a lot about with these two teams is one thing that Coach Rooney talked about with us when we were down talking to him before the game, and it's really kind of been a theme for NC State over the last year to year and a half, consistency throughout the course of a 60-minute contest. So if you're NC State, you can't come out, look at the scoreboard and go, we've got this. You have to continue to press. It's got to be a consistent effort.
You can't relax just because you have that kind of cushion. I mean, for Temple, the final score was 3-1, and they scored on an empty net, so you don't really want a repeat of that game.
No, you absolutely don't. Another thing you have to remember, too, that's a little bit different about this game as opposed to a good number of others that NC State plays is you've got a back-to-back. So you want to set the tone for tomorrow. You can't just cruise into tomorrow. You have to make a statement and let the midshipmen know that this is what we expect out of Saturday's game as well.
And you need to focus on what you're doing right now. I mean, for NC State, you're doing a lot of the great things and the little things right. But Navy, I mean, you got to step it up. Rooney talked about how resilient his team is, and I feel like they're going to come out in the second period ready to play.
We'll have to see what happens when the two teams take back to the ice, but they're close to doing that. We're going to step aside when we come back. We'll be set for period number 2. Right now, it's NC State 3, Navy nothing.
Locally owned and operated by an NC State graduate, the Red and White Shop is your source for all things NC State. Just off campus in the Ridgewood Shopping Center at 3526 Wade Avenue, the Red and White Shop has everything the NC State fan needs. Sporting goods and memorabilia, your favorite NC State team apparel, tailgating essentials, ice pack gear. A proud sponsor of the NC State hockey team, a percentage of all ice pack sales go back to the team. Stop by today or visit us online. The Red and White Shop.
Why are sandwiches so much better hot?
I don't know. Why does everyone love summer or hot gossip? Hotter is just better. Oh, don't forget about hot ovens. Or hot peppers. Hot springs, hot chocolate. Hot sandwiches.
Ooh.
Hot soup, hot air balloons. Hot yoga.
I get it. Hotter is better.
Or hot melted cheese.
Sorry.
Potbelly, we bring the hot.
Happy birthday, Max.
Yes! I'm Joe on the phone, here to show you 4 easy ways to stay safe online. Come on. We can secure our world when you choose your passwords. Make them strong. Use a password manager to help you along. But don't just use a password alone. Get a call, get a text, or a code on your phone.
MFA really works!
We can secure our world. When it's time to update an app, don't you hesitate. Do it ASAP.
Just like that.
Watch out for offers too good to be true. What? It's probably someone trying to take advantage of you.
Hey, that's phishing.
Let's report it. Install updates. Make better passwords. Think before you click. Use multiple factors. That's how we can secure our world. Learn more at CISA.gov/secure-our-world.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. These programs cover doctor's appointments, hospital visits, prescriptions, shots, and more. As parents, we get peace of mind knowing that our children are covered if they are sick or get injured. You may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if you've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
For each life moment, your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. Your kids may be eligible now, even if you've applied before. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Get started now at insurekidsnow.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
We're set for period number 2 here at Invisalign Arena. NC State taking a 3-0 lead into period 2. Chris Lehman alongside Grace Motto as we get set for NC State and Navy to resume play. It'll be Ammons, Herman, Johnson as the forward line with Labrizzi and Lapani on the backside. Bobby Cunningham is centering Sean Millinette. And Aiden Wallstrom for Navy. Their defensive pairing is number 18, Benny Wad, and number 19, Dylan Nahaus. NC State control off the draw. Lapani trying to swing one cross ice. That's intercepted by Nahaus. He'll step into a shot just inside the blue line, and it bounces wide. Twirled back out in front. Nobody gets a stick to it. Nahaus again. He'll circle with it. Stops along the half wall. Works back up top. Herman pestering him. High slot shot. Gets the stick of Johnson and deflects out of play, but already a solid start here from Navy. We haven't seen them often get set up in the offensive zone outside of that power play. They got set up there.
Yeah, in moments like these, I mean, you're down by 3. It truly depends on how you can recover from that. And it seems like Navy is really chomping at the bit to get one up on the board.
Yeah, and a quick goal from the Midshipmen would really go a long way to getting it back into this hockey game. Swept in from the blue line by Jason Fisher in the corner. Midshipmen to it first. Butt hooking with it, Patrick Laughlin out in front, and they can't put it home. Laughlin turns around, his shot hits a body. Mason Payne to the puck in the corner, trying to chip it around Laughlin and can't. Back up to the blue line now, Fisher. He'll look cross ice. Slid back across, nobody there to get a stick to the pass from Butler Chesson. Good pressure here from the Midshipmen. Chip back down in by Tushy. Herman to it for NC State. Darlene works it up the wall. Ammons breaks it out for Reese Johnson, but Tushy shuts him down at the red line. Follow up from Darlene, and NC State finally able to alleviate some pressure. Loose puck in the neutral zone. Navy able to turn it back in their favor. Forcing his way through Millinette, can't take the puck with him. Fisher to it. Mason Payne stands his man up along the wall. NC State takes back control. Darlene looking through traffic, finds Johnson. He'll walk in, but he's offside. Took a little bit too long as Ammons comes in early. And we'll get our first stoppage of the period. But it's tipping, the ice is tipping in Navy's favor here early, Grace.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of a hard play for NC State to get the puck in. I mean, they were kind of really close. I mean, we talked about triangles and how hockey is a game of triangles. You want to move in triangles, but that was a really tight and close triangle. You got to use the width of the ice a little bit.
NC State will use the draw, or win the draw. Smith, DDD for Sada, who sends it in. Collected along the side of the goal by Josh Reed. Immediately under pressure in that near corner. Navy will eventually be able to skate it out of the zone. Cam Smith steps up to a loose puck. He'll shoot it right back in. Kaufman on the forecheck with Josh Reed to the puck for Navy. Moves it along for Cunningham. He'll clear it out. It'll be chopped at now by Wallstrom. Cam Smith back for it, for the pack. Stretches it out for Prasma. Beautiful look. Rady coming with him in a glove save made by Smarghese. I don't know if Prasma knew Rady was coming in with him. I think he might have had that pass there.
I mean, that play started with Cam Smith being situationally aware of where his forwards were. Something we talked about.
Yeah, really opened things up, especially when you can find a guy like Prasma, who is one of the most potent offensive threats for NC State. Navy wins the draw and breaks out. Lots of speed for Nahaus down low. Sends it low, and it's tipped up into the netting. Not sure if it was Chesson who got a stick to it or if it was an NC State stick. Either way, the faceoff is going to be in the ice pack zone. I can look down right in front of me. Below me is Head coach Ken Powers of Navy was leaning over his bench, clapping, really letting his team know this is the way they need to play. They've had NC State hemmed into their own end for the majority of the first 2.5 minutes. Pass misses Shook, but he'll track it down in the Navy zone. He's pinned to the wall behind the net. Takes a hit for Patrick Laughlin, able to absorb it and keep the puck in his skates. Eventually it squirts loose. Oh, NC State couldn't put it on goal. Smarghese wasn't sure where it was for a moment. Now Govea gloves it down. Leaves it for Labrizi. D-to-D for Leprani. Shoots it forward, looking for Gifford, who was tied up on the play. It'll be icing, much to the chagrin of the NC State bench. And actually, may have just pointed at center. Not sure if they're going to go to center ice with this or not. NC State, I think, certainly would like them to, but that's not going to be the case.
Navy so far has been managing the first couple minutes of this period very well.
Yeah, and they've spent, I would say they've spent close to as much time possessing the puck and getting attacking time in the offensive zone this period in the first 3 minutes as they did for at least the first half of the first period.
And shots right now are tied.
Now they are going to make that adjustment. The officials got together and talked about it. It'll be a center ice face-off instead of a full-on icing call. And at center ice, Govea on the draw against Douglas Carr, who wins it for the Navy Midshipmen. They'll work it down the far wall. Govea intercepts. Has Labrizi, who gives it back. Now Govea looking up forward, hits the skates of Shook. And NC State will have to regroup. Lapani, cross ice off the stick of Nick Shook. I think the pass, though, intended for Govea behind him. And now Navy back the other direction. Katie looking to the middle. It hits a skate, trickles in on Bartels, and he'll cover up.
Navy got themselves kind of set up in NC State's zone. I feel like that was a great sequence of play. I mean, we talked about triangles. That was a great movement between kind of the sides of the triangle, if one would say that.
This end of the ice down here near the Frigid Sound has gotten a lot of work here in the first 24 minutes of play. Darlene will skate it out after NC State wins the D-zone draw. Outlets for Brandon Raleigh, who wraps it around the wall. Giancani at the blue line gets a skate to it. It deflects to Finch, who wrists one just wide of the near post. He'll go after the rebound in the corner. Four-man scrum along the wall. It pops loose, and the midshipmen to it first. It's the captain and Cunningham. Navy forced around the other way, though. And again, this NC State forecheck getting back to work. Finch puts a body on a man and forces it the other way again. At the blue line, Mason Payne swats at it. NC State trying to settle down a very rambunctious hockey puck tonight. It's been bouncing and hopping all over the place. Payne forcing his way up the near side. Puck ends up on the stick of Reese Johnson. It'll trickle in on the goaltender Smarghese. Shots now 10-10, only 3 shots here in the first about 5 minutes of the period. But look out, here comes Chesson with speed, cuts to the middle. Pad save made by Bartels. Another chance coming in front. Chesson knocked down in front of the net. Loose puck still there in the slot, and Darlene will clear it out of danger. But a couple of good chances there for Butler, Chesson. And some credit to the defenseman Mason Payne, who did not make it easy on him.
If you're Navy right now, you have some great looks, but you just got to elevate the puck a little bit more.
Icing going to be the call here on NC State. You do wonder if Navy finds the back of the net here at some point. Does that open things up? And here's another look at that chance. Again, like I said, a lot of credit to Mason Payne. The way he came in and took away some of that angle from Chesson is the reason he wasn't able to get anything on that shot and elevate it up over the pad of Bartels. Off the draw, Navy wins. Shot ricochets wide of the net and into the far corner. Worked back around, Fisher pinching in for it. Has some help there from Mason Rudin. Rudin along the goal line, wrist shot. Can't find the net. Tushy slaps it back down low. It deflects to the middle, and they'll fight for it there. Turnaround shot. Another pad save from Bartels on the shot from the high slot. That was Ian Cady. Now Ammons up the wall. Herman slides it along for Darlene, and NC State can skate out. Ice pack need a change. This is the period of the long change. So if you get stuck in your defensive end, it is not easy to get fresh legs on the ice without getting the puck all the way down. Ammons under some pressure on the sidewall. Rady going in physically there to knock the puck loose, and Navy clears it all the way down. This is going to have enough for icing, so the Midshipmen are not going to be able to make a change here. Trying to sneak off was Ian Cady. He'll be called back out, though. And a chance here for NC State as they'll get their top line relatively fresh out there.
That's a hard position for Navy. I mean, you have some guys who are gassed from going back and forth, and you can't really change. You gotta get the puck out.
NC State able to control as Prasma finds a loose puck off the draw. Puck ends up off the glass and out of play, and now Navy will get that much needed change.
There's no worse feeling than being stuck out on the ice. I mean, you're gassed, you need some water, and you see out the other end the ref has his hand up signaling an icing, and you're really wishing you were on that bench.
Going to be Kaufman on the draw for NC State, tied up there in the circle, still fighting for it. Prasma finds it over to Rady. His shot misses wide, and as Smargazy was scrambling around, he knocked the net off, and that will stop play. But another great chance for NC State. And again, like a bouncing puck. The culprit there is Rady wasn't able to get the stick to it.
Well, Chris, you know, the ice is slippery, so.
Oh, that shot from behind. Actually, it was a pretty good one-timer from Rady. He hit the side of the net, and then it ricocheted back out in front. Smargazy did a good job of not letting it deflect off him and in. Another offensive zone draw won by Kaufman. Ice pack back to work on the attack. Prasma retrieves it in the corner and slides it to the middle for Kaufman, who works back down low. Beneath the goal line, he's got Rady. Up top, Smith takes the shot. That hits Kaufman. Out to the corner, Rady slides it into the middle, off the stick of the goaltender Smargazy. It's popped up in the air, down to a knee. Prasma after it, trying to knock it back up top. It'll get tied up along the wall. 7 minutes gone here in this second period. Still 3-0 NC State, as they're finally starting to establish themselves in the offensive end. Navy with it behind their own net. That's Josh Reed playing it up the wall. Cam Smith stops it up in the neutral zone. Nick Shook with the follow-up to dump it in. And now we've got a whistle and get delayed offsides here on NC State. Will stop play with 12:36 to go in the second. And Grace, it's definitely been a much better period for Navy, but as you alluded to a little bit earlier, they still haven't seen the results on the scoreboard.
No, and it all starts with doing the little things right. I mean, they really have picked up their forecheck a little bit and their breakout.
Breakout has definitely been cleaner, although NC State seems to be a little bit better on the forecheck as of late. They'll move out with it now. Cross ice for Lapani. He'll take it off the wall. Looking forward, hits the stick of Nick Shook, who deflects it out of play. And the face-off will come back into the neutral zone.
I have to say, in this period, I feel like we've seen a little less amount of turnovers in the neutral zone. I feel like both teams have maintained possession a lot better, whether it's skating through the neutral zone or just getting the puck and dumping it in.
As you say that, it definitely feels like a cleaner neutral zone this period. I'd have to agree with you for sure. Gifford chips it in off the draw. NC State back to work in the O zone again. Shook leaves it for Govea. Backhand pass out in front is intercepted, and now Navy can skate out with it. Wallstrom has space up the far side. Looking to the middle, that saucer pass intended for Cunningham is sent right back out. Now Nahaus will spin away from Govea. It's a couple hacks from the NC State alternate captain, able to maintain control. Eventually separated from the puck, though, as Lapani finds it. Leaves it for Shook. It'll be worked back around for Labrizzi. He's got plenty of time and space. lot of pressure now. Labrizzi hooked up, lost control. Laughlin shot stopped by Bartels. Good forecheck there from Laughlin, and now Navy with the pressure. Shot wide of Bartels and wide of the net off the stick of Andrew Penka there. Another chance for Jason Fisher off the side of the net. And now NC State will clear, but not very far. They're not going to be able to get any fresh legs out here. Tushy. He's going to step into the space he's given. Maybe back to the dump and chase game. Pressure there from Katie. They'll battle for it behind. Katie jars it loose. Pitching in Mason Rudin to the loose puck. Looking to the middle, can't connect with Katie, but in comes Fisher to play it. Jason Fisher, a one-man cycle. Gets tied up with the official and stopped up. He's able to leave it for Doug Carr. Move back around below the goal line. Good pressure here from Navy. Up top, shot. Pad save made by Bartels. Good positioning from the goaltender there. Tushy again. His shot deflects around. Oh man, I don't know how Bartels found that puck, but he makes another save.
Navy was not letting go of that pressure for, I mean, what an amazing sequence of events for Navy.
I would love to know how Bartels saw that puck. Definitely through the legs of Connie. It looked like it might have gone through the legs of Govea as well. And somehow Bartels found that.
But if you're NC State, you owe it to Bartels to get the puck out. I mean, he was being peppered with shots after shots.
Face-off one forward off the draw for Cunningham. Unable to direct it on goal. NC State will skate back out. Darlene with speed. He's got Finch driving the middle. And the shot from Darlene ends up out of play.
Chris, what are you seeing for Navy so far?
Yeah, I think you've done a good job of illustrating it. I think early on, at least in the first 5 or so minutes of the period, Navy looked really good on the forecheck, and they were able to set up in the offensive zone. NC State has kind of tipped the ice a little bit back in their favor now, although we did just see that last sequence for the Midshipmen. So just generally consistency has been better from Navy as Bartels makes the save. And like I said, you can see it on the ice. There's more play in the NC State zone, and the Ice Pack are being forced to defend.
I feel like last shift did a lot for Navy and kind of shifted the momentum towards them for a little bit. They did a great job at shutting down any NC State attempt to get the puck out of their zone.
Another offensive zone draw. NC State forces it out. Raleigh able to poke it into the neutral zone, and on the break-in, Andrew Penka deflecting it out of play will come out on top of the NC State blue line here.
Chris, you were talking about the puck bouncing, but I feel like now the name of the game in the second period is pucks getting deflected out.
Yeah, there have been a lot of stoppages in this second period. Navy another face-off win. They'll go back on the forecheck. Darlene knocked down, able to maintain control at least for the moment. And now Austin Finch collects and skates it out. He's got Raleigh with him into the zone. He'll be slowed up just inside the blue line, and Navy takes back over. Little over halfway through this contest. NC State up 3-0 as Finch's shot just trickles in on goal. It'll be covered up by Smarghese with 9:29 to go.
A little pushing and shoving going on in front of Navy's net.
You can see the physicality on both sides. It's not been excessively physical, but when the opportunity has presented itself, neither team has shied away from the physical contact. Hammonds finds his way down below the goal line with the puck. NC State back to work in the offensive end. Cam Smith will slap it around the wall. Now Sodden pitching in from the point. Can't hold his own. Cross ice pass misses everybody on the breakout. Cam Smith to it for the Pack, and they'll send it right back the other way. Tushy now to it for the Midshipmen. He'll be knocked off the puck by Ammon. Strong play there by the centerman. He'll be forced off it though by Ian Cady, and Navy will look to set out the breakout again. Rudin back up the near side. Cam Smith in to hold the zone. Corner NC State controls. Herman looking to the middle for Johnson. Can't quite corral it. Smith at the blue line again. Will keep it in. One-timer from Johnson, And Smargazy will attack it with the glove. And another offensive zone draw for the Ice Pack coming up.
Chris, I feel like it's very hard as a defenseman to have a smooth breakout if your winger is just getting to the boards. I mean, we saw it a couple times of when they would try to rim it, there was no Navy winger to be found on the boards, and that's just an automatic, easy puck for NC State's D.
And as a result, NC State continues to put pressure on in the offensive end. And the Ice Pack will win the tie-up off the draw once more. Johnson behind the net, rubbed out along the boards. NC State, though, has the manpower. Lapani's one-timer doesn't get to the net, ricochets back out, and Ammon shovels it down low. Got a whistle coming up, and there's at least one penalty. I think this is going to be another 4-on-4 because I think Herman is going to go to the penalty box as well. We'll get a look here at the guilty party for the Midshipmen. Appears to be Dylan Nauhaus. I think I heard Herman for holding the stick, and it's going to be interference on Nauhaus.
In the first period, when we had 4-on-4 hockey, I feel like Navy, there was a shift in Navy. They really were quick on their feet. They were moving the puck very well, so we'll have to see how this 4-on-4 play translates to the second period.
2 minutes and both teams missing a key player. Nauhaus logging a lot of minutes on the back end for the Midshipmen, and of course Zach Herman, the captain for NC State. Now here's someone who can take advantage of that extra space. Prasma with speed, unable to get a clean shot away. But the Ice Pack able to maintain the zone. Prasma again up for Lapani. No shooting lane, so he'll just play it around the wall. And Labrizzi gets to it first. Looking to the middle, he gets tripped up, but play will carry on as Navy skates it back out. Bobby Cunningham moves it down the near side and in. Numbers for the Midshipmen. Shot from Fisher, hits a body and ricochets wide. Lapani overskates the rebound, but he's got Kaufman there in support. Ice Pack back out. Kaufman picking up speed through neutral ice. He'll slow up at the top of the near circle. It's poked off his stick, and NC State will elect to play for space here.
Chris, there was just right as Navy kind of went into NC State's zone, that was just 4-on-2 hockey for a little bit.
Back the other way, Chesson in the corner, plays it back up top. That'll be worked cross ice for Laughlin to settle down. NC State clears the zone. The other thing I noticed about that, you talked about delayed zone entries. Navy came in very flat across the blue line there, which doesn't give you a lot of options. Here's Chesson dragging his way around Labrizzi. Nifty move by the forward. He'll look back out in front. Puck is popped up in the air, and NC State will glove it down. Lapani moves it back behind for Labrizzi. 22 seconds left of 4-on-4 hockey. Now Lapani again. D with Labrizzi. Lapani is trying to force his way through the neutral zone. He'll be stopped up at the blue line. It'll be turned back up by Ian Cady. Going one-on-one with Labrizzi, who blocks the shot from that far side, and outlets for Govea. Drops it back to his defenseman. Labrizzi trying to skate out of pressure, finds Govea again. Moves along for Lapani. Rink wide, off the boards. Gifford gets a touch to it. He'll track it down with Tushy on his tail. Beautiful pass to Govea, and the shot fought off and then held onto by Smargazy. One of the best chances for NC State here in the second.
There was just that was a long shift for that D pair of Labrizzi and Lapani. It was nice to see them finally get a change. I could see that they were a little worn down towards the end.
That's that long change. We talked about it earlier in the period, especially for defensemen. It is a long way to the door on the bench in period number 2. NC State, another offensive zone draw, wristed high by Gifford on the shot. Ice Pack hold it in, and looks like the puck got stuck up along the wall. We'll get a whistle here. And the face-off will stay to the near side of the US Naval Academy net.
And sometimes when you have that long change, sometimes D, they'll kind of switch so the near side defender can get towards the boards a little quicker.
Navy looking to clear off the defensive zone win. Darlene pins it to the wall and holds the zone, at least for the moment. Now Tushy with another try. Darlene at the blue line. Oh, he couldn't quite hold it. And that will give Navy a chance to change here. 5.5 minutes left in the second period. Still 3-0 NC State. Shots favor Navy 16-14. On the overall, on the period, it is 7-6 in favor of Navy. Tie up on top of the Navy blue line will be swept in by Nick Shook. NC State has been relatively dominant in the faceoff circle this period. Darlene back to the clearance now. He'll hand it off for Mason Payne. Up for Gifford, he finds Gouveia skate to stick. Joey Gouveia hit hard as he enters the zone. He cartwheeled over top of the defenseman there. That was a big hit from Benny Wad, and a clean one too.
Wad was kind of just waiting there for him.
Well, you could see Gouveia saw it last minute, tried to get out of the way. Might have made it at least look a little bit worse as he went head over heels. 4:42 to go, walking the goal line. Herman will sneak behind, didn't have the angle he needed. Prasma scored short side in the first period in a similar spot. Now top of the slot, shot for Ammons is blocked. Pinball around before Tate Sodden knocks it back down deep. Navy finally getting control of it, and they'll wrist it out. They'll get the break on the bounce. They can get some fresh legs out there. NC State trying to take advantage of the change with no icing. Smargazy out to play it along. NC State to it first, it's Herman. He'll turn tight with it, trying to protect it against the wall. He's pinned there by Blake Powers, and it comes loose for the Midshipmen to take over. Trying to skate it out, that's turned over. Now Johnson snaps a shot high of Spargazy. Battle along the far wall. Sodden come away with control. But again, NC State not giving Navy much past their own blue line here. Stretch pass stretches out a little too long here, and now Navy will get a chance to catch some tired ice pack legs out there.
NC State was really relentless on keeping the puck in Navy's zone.
The one unfortunate thing for NC State is this line of Herman, Johnson, and Ammons have been out there for a while. One thing I have noticed, Ammons, the center, listed on the line chart for NC State tonight. But it looks like, at least partway through this game, he and Herman have swapped. Herman took that face-off for the pack. Ammons negates an icing call with a nice hustle play there. That'll allow NC State to get at least a couple of fresh sets of legs out there. Aiden Rady, one of them, putting some pressure on Katie, who throws it through the middle, and it deflects out of play. With 3:20 to go in the period, face-off will stay in the NC State zone, and they can finish up that change.
If you're Navy right now, you have the advantage of being a couple feet away from NC State's goal. So you kind of want to use this and win the puck back, get it back to your D, send it across, at least get a shot off.
It'll be Douglas Carr on the draw. That's where it starts. Got to win the face-off. NC State comes away with it off the draw, though. They'll break out. Kaufman skating it up that far side. Pressing forward, he finds Labrizzi. Slid into the middle, and the shot from Rady is swallowed up by Smargazy. Great play by the Navy netminder. And that was one I thought we might see in the back of the net.
To have Labrizzi with that speed was an added bonus.
Maybe a little bit slow on the pass across. Smargazy able to anticipate and get over to make the save. Just over 3 minutes left in the period. Navy prevails on the defensive zone draw. They'll set up the breakout from the near corner. Pass out, intercepted by Lapani, and shot right back in. Nauhaus fans on the clearance. Rady there to pressure in the corner. Puck spot pops loose, and it's Kaufman looking to the middle. Work back behind now for Prasma. Prasma feeling the pressure. Rady helping keep the zone. It's back in that near corner again. 2:37 to go in the period. Kaufman and Prasma working below the goal line. So 2-on-2 battle here. As now Kaufman lost an edge, and NC State will get their first power play of the game. I believe it's going to be Cunningham, the guilty party, But a big chance here for NC State to stretch out their lead in what has been a very evenly played second period.
They have been dominant in 5-on-5 hockey, as well as mainly, I mean, Navy in the first period was really great when they played 4-on-4. So this will be interesting to see how they will play on the power play.
So 2:26 left in the period means all 2 minutes of the power play come here in the second for the Pack. Darlene sliding it through the slot, looking for the stick of Gifford. Couldn't connect, but NC State can set up on the man advantage. Here's Shook. Works it up top for Darlene. He'll survey, back to Shook, loads it up. Glove save from Smargazy. Both goaltenders, I feel like, have dealt pretty well with traffic when they've had to.
Smargazy was really ready to flash that leather.
And it felt a lot like the shot Bartelse stopped earlier. A lot of that was about positioning, having the glove in the right place, and just being positionally sound. Bouncing puck, Darlene will settle it and get it to Shook all in one motion. Back up for Darlene. His pass hits a stick and deflects into the glass far corner. Hacked up the wall, and Darlene has to retreat into the neutral zone for it. Still 1:25 on the power play. Shook centers for Gifford. He'll curl and drag around the defenseman. It's tied up in the high slot. Puck on edge, and Shook will be able to get to it from the near circle. His shot hits a blocker and gets out of play. With 1:14 left on the power play, 1:39 on the period. And Nick Shook's a guy that I'm looking to get on the point sheet tonight, on the score sheet. He has 66 points for NC State in as many games. He's a point-per-game player. And he's in his second game here this semester after being abroad in the fall. Looking for his first points, almost got it there. Prasma twirling with it. His shot didn't get through. Retrieved now in the corner by Johnson, looking across, and they couldn't get a shot away on the near side. Halfway through the man advantage now. Out in front, Govea with a quick try, and it'll be covered up by Smargazy.
And on Nick Shook's shot, I mean, you could see right where he was aiming. He was aiming right above that blocker pad, but Smargazy was one step ahead of him.
Another face-off win for NC State. So important to get set up on the power play by winning that face-off, and they've done it 3 times on this man advantage. Walking out, Govea looks to the far post. Can't quite connect with Prasma over there. Johnson now to Prasma. Back to Reese Johnson. His shot stopped there by Smargazy. The rebound cleaned up and cleared. NC State down to 30 seconds on the man advantage. Trying to take advantage of the change now. Stretch pass out for Prasma. He'll slow up on the half wall. Walking in far circle, looking, dragging. Too many bodies in front. Smargazy wasn't sure where it was. Now maybe a shorthanded chance for Navy as they move forward. Josh Reed steps into the zone. Slides it in on goal. Easy to handle for Bartels, and he'll cover up. 34 seconds left in the period, and 8 on the man advantage for the Pack.
In that last play, Bartels really was the one to make the difference. He saw the puck, saw someone on the side wall, and just shot the puck right back up. I mean, on the power play, time is not your friend. You really want to get the puck. If it goes back into your zone, you want to get it and get it out fast.
On some credit there on that replay, you saw Josh Reed helping out in the crease. He was the one who blocked that shot from Prasma, and now Darlene trips up his man, and just as soon as the NC State power play expires, Navy will pick one up. It's going to be Darlene for tripping with 23 seconds left in the period.
I mean, in situations like that, you really have to focus on playing the body. I mean, it's easy, so easy to get drawn in and take the stick and try to poke away the puck, but...
So NC State needs to clear off 26 seconds of penalty time before the period comes to a close. Navy working quickly. Shot from the point off the pad of Bartels. Rebound retrieved by the Navy power play, but a bouncing puck hops the stick of Fisher and escapes the zone. NC State able to clear down to 5 seconds left. And now Giancani will step into the offensive zone. Tosses one in on goal. It'll be an easy save for Smargazy, and it will finish off period number 2. No goals that period, Grace, but a lot of action.
Navy really was excited to come into the second period and show that they are really willing to play. I mean, I feel like the first period was a bad measure for them, and the second they really showed that they're still in this game, and they did a great job at keeping NC State scoring to 0.
Yeah, it was certainly the priority when you're down 3 is not to let the lead get bigger. They did that. They got some good chances, and it feels a little bit like NC State last week against Temple, and obviously NC State ended up winning the game against the Owls, but they just aren't quite able to connect that last dot and finish it off. But for now, NC State has a 3-0 lead over the Navy Midshipmen, but they do have 1:37 of power play time to kill off. They're Darlene in the box when the third period starts. We'll step aside. We'll have the second intermission coming up next here at Invisalign.
Welcome back to Invisalign Arena. I'm Grace Motto, joined by NC State's Eric Mura. Eric, the score is still 3-0 in your favor after a scoreless period. What are you saying to the guys?
Honestly, we don't let up, right? So it's one of those things, one of my things that going into this game was compete. And, you know, the first period, I thought we played about 17, 18 minutes. It was a really good period. That one, we kind of started off slow. We started, you know, in our zone, we were down by, 2 or 3 minutes, and it just felt like that Navy was gaining momentum. So it's kind of, you know, switching it back over, getting back to what we were doing in the first period, which was really using our feet, using our speed, getting down low, pressuring their D, and keep on moving our feet. I mean, that's the biggest thing right there.
And pressure is a huge part of this game, especially we thought the forecheck was looking pretty good in the first and in the second period. I mean, you guys were relentless at some points on Navy, and what are you guys thinking taking into the third period?
It's exactly what you said. Relentless is one of our words that we've been using all year long, right? So it's one of those, like, just because it's 3-0 doesn't mean you don't stop. Like, we went into that second period saying, hey, it's 0-0. Let's start back to where we are. Now we're going to the third. My message is going to be the same thing. It's 0-0. Keep your feet moving and get back to what our structure was and what was really working in the first period.
So what's standing out to you right now if you're trying to match some of what Navy's showing you?
I don't know if it's necessarily matching. It's, we've had a little struggle the last couple games, and some of the results haven't gone our way. So it's really getting back to our game, getting back to our systems, really trusting what we've been doing all year long, and just getting back. We were in a funk for a little bit, so now it's just like, okay, let's get back to the basics. It's a hockey cliche, get back to basics, keep it simple. All the little things that we talk about, but it's really true. Like, when things aren't going your way, you got to go back to what we know best, and what we know best is being hard in the forecheck, being relentless in front of the net, getting pucks through, and being smart in the defensive zone.
So coming off of Westchester, what was the main message you guys were kind of bringing into today's game?
For me, it was compete. Like I said earlier, it was compete and heart or intensity. So I thought in Westchester, we had a decent game to start, and we kind of backed off. I don't know if we got a little slow, we got a little tired. We played a lot of games in the last 2 weeks. So it was really just getting back and just bring that heart, bring that grit, that intensity that we've talked about, and just let's see what happens. And again, get back to the basics and start moving our feet again, start playing, being hard on the blue lines, getting the pucks out, all the little things that we talk about every single time. It's just get back to it and start doing it again.
So you guys are going into the third on the penalty kill. What is the vibe in the locker room?
I think the vibe is decent right now. I haven't walked in there yet, so I'll walk in a minute or two. But, I thought, starting this game, it felt different. There was a different, last week we were kind of down on ourselves a little bit. But today, everything just felt right. It felt like we were going to get back to our games. We were going to get back to our system. And, it's a big kill. So usually what happens is when you have a kill to start a period, if we can get through that minute and 37 seconds, it kind of changes that momentum back to us, and it really gets our offense going. So obviously as a PK coach, I want to kill it, and let's get moving on to the forwards.
Well, we look forward to seeing how you guys handle that in the third. I'm Grace Motto, and I will be back with Chris after this.
Locally owned and operated by an NC State graduate, the Red and White Shop is your source for all things NC State. Just off campus in the Ridgewood Shopping Center at 3526 Wade Avenue, the Red and White Shop has everything the NC State fan needs. Sporting goods and memorabilia, your favorite NC State team apparel, tailgating essentials, ice pack gear. A proud sponsor of the NC State hockey team, a percentage of all ice pack sales go back to the team. Stop by today or visit us online. The Red and White Shop.
Why are sandwiches so much better hot?
I don't know. Why does everyone love summer or hot gossip? Hotter is just better. Oh, don't forget about hot ovens. Or hot peppers. Hot springs, hot chocolate. Hot sandwiches.
Ooh.
Hot soup, hot air balloons. Hot yoga.
I get it. Hotter is better.
Or hot melted cheese.
Sorry.
Potbelly, we bring the hot.
Happy birthday, Max.
Yes! I'm Joe on the phone, here to show you 4 easy ways to stay safe online. Come on. We can secure our world when you choose your passwords. Make them strong. Use a password manager to help you along. But don't just use a password alone. Get a call, get a text, or a code on your phone.
MFA really works.
We can secure our world. When it's time to update an app, don't you hesitate. Do it ASAP.
Just like that.
Watch out for offers too good to be true. What? It's probably someone trying to take advantage of you.
Hey, that's phishing.
Let's report it. Install updates. Make better passwords. Think before you click. Use multiple factors. That's how we can secure our world. Learn more at CISA.gov/secure our world.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. These programs cover doctor's appointments, hospital visits, prescriptions, shots, and more. As parents, we get peace of mind knowing that our children are covered if they are sick or get injured. You may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if you've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
For each life moment, your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. Your kids may be eligible now, even if you've applied before. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Get started now at insurekidsnow.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Chris Lehman back alongside Grace Motto after 2 periods. Score stays the same. NC State 3, Navy nothing. 20 minutes to go, though, and as we've talked about, still a penalty to kill for NC State. 1:37 left on the tripping penalty to Eric Darlene. So a chance for Navy to get themselves back in and get some momentum right out of the gate in the 3rd period. But before we get into the 3rd period, we're going to look back at the 2nd period. We talked about how much better NC State looked in the 1st period compared to their game, or at least the end of the game against Westchester last Saturday, the big difference there. There was a difference for Navy, 100%. They could not get out of their zone, save a few chances in the 1st period. In the 2nd period, they spent at least as much time in the offensive end, if not more, than NC State did.
And to go back to what Coach Rooney said, he talked about how they have gone over a month without playing an actual game. And, you know, you can have all these game-like situations in practice, but truly it matters on playing an actual team about how you can really see how practice translates to an actual game. And I feel like it took Navy 1 period to get their footing, but that's what they needed.
Yeah, and now what they're looking for is a goal, because that's the one thing that was missing in that period. They're still out shooting NC State, or pardon me, not anymore. Shots are now 21-18 in favor of NC State, but for most of this period, and of course all of the 1st period, they were out shooting NC State, and NC State is the one who's been able to get on the scoreboard. So if you're Navy, you got to find a way to beat Pieter Bartelse, who has played really, really well.
I feel like the key to out shooting, and you know, they have had a lot of quality shots, but they just need to elevate the puck just a little more they've got the puck all the way down. They've had a couple rebounds, but they just need to elevate the puck a little more to get one on the board.
Well, and you talked about on the penalty kill for NC State earlier on in the period in the 2nd. They did a great job, the Ice Pack did, of keeping play to the outside and not allowing a lot of those high-quality, high-danger chances for Navy. And I think that kind of extends throughout most of this game for NC State. Obviously, Pieter Bartelse has played well, but the shutout isn't all on the goaltender. He needs some help in front of him, and NC State in the defensive end has given him that.
If you're on the defensive end, you really want to focus on taking away players' sticks. I mean, it's so easy to get drawn in. I mean, you have some players making some fancy moves trying to put it through your feet, but it really matters of taking their body away. I mean, you want to look at the numbers on their chest to push them towards the outside.
Yeah, and NC State has done a really, really good job of that. I want to kind of turn now and look a little bit ahead at period number 3. The one thing I want to focus on here at the end of this break here is the penalty kill that NC State has to finish. We just talked about they did a really good job of keeping Navy to the outside on the penalty kill earlier on in the period. But we've seen Navy, especially lately, kind of penetrate the middle with some passes across the ice. This is a very dangerous power play.
And Navy has to be a little creative with it. NC State has been relentless on their pressure, and it just comes down to how they can kind of move the puck on the outside.
Yeah, we'll see what they're able to do in period number 3. We'll step aside. We'll come back with highlights after this. Well, we didn't have any goals in period number 2, but we did have plenty of action between NC State and Navy. Ice Pack with a 3-0 lead. We're going to take a look at some of those highlights from period number 2. One of the guys we've highlighted a lot for NC State is Pieter Bartelse, and Bartelse has been really strong in the net for NC State. So we get a look at here at some of the chances, particularly early. Navy looked really good.
And he's been kind of a saving grace, if you would, for NC State.
I got to look there as well at some of the physical play. As we mentioned earlier, neither team shying away from the physical play in this one. And it's been a lot of kind of muck and grind work down low to create those chances up high. But you see all the traffic in front, and that's a big reason that neither team found the back of the net in that second period. And you look at the end of that highlight there, it's kind of how this game has gone. A lot of matching penalties to open up space for these teams.
I feel like it's been a kind of back and forth hockey. Navy has gotten a few good looks. They're right in front of NC State's net, but they just couldn't really tap it in.
Yeah, and that's really been kind of the story, at least in the second period, for the Navy midshipmen. Was close, but not quite. But again, the physicality in this game has been punishing. You saw that big hit on Joey Govea. Alternate captain popped right back up, so he was fine. But those kind of hits definitely have a mental effect on the game as well. And I think if you're Navy, you're going to try and use that to drive you forward into this third period.
And hits like those, they kind of send a message. If you're NC State, a hit like that on your assistant captain is not received well.
No, and NC State, to their credit, did not retaliate for it. You have to be disciplined, play your own game, and it was a clean hit. It was within the rules of play, and you have to carry on. NC State, of course, got their own licks in as well. But as we look forward at this third period, obviously we've talked about the importance of that power play to start the period. But if you're NC State after that, you got to get back to what you were doing. Really, I think they need to find a way to slow Navy back down. When Navy can use their speed is when they're dangerous.
You said it perfectly. They are especially dangerous when they have their speed and they're coming into the zone. I said it before. They had amazing looks when they generated speed and when they were moving in triangles.
And the two of us have talked both on and off camera about kind of the parallels between Navy in this game versus NC State last weekend, and it feels pretty similar. Navy playing a little bit better of a game than NC State did last weekend against Westchester, but I think they're seeing kind of similar results. They're getting in there, they're just not finishing.
No, and I talked to Coach Mura about how consistency is a huge thing that NC State has been focusing on, but for Navy, we talked about how they needed that first period under their belt to get the blood flowing, get the heart pumping, and I feel like they're going to really show up a little more in the third period. We saw them really come out ready to play in the second, but they are so close to getting one on the board. It just is up to NC State to hold them back.
Sometimes the puck luck's just not in your favor. A couple of bounces a different way, and we could be looking at a 1-goal hockey game instead of a 3-goal hockey game. But if you're NC State, you've got that 3-goal cushion. We're going to take a look at how they got there. It started early in the first period, and it was Joey Govea finding Jake Gifford out in front to make it 1-0.
And that is some great chemistry between teammates right there, and just knowing where your winger or center is going to be.
Yeah, driving the net there along the goal line was Gifford, and then NC State able to get that traffic out in front. We talked about net front presence. Govea, second point of the night on the deflection for the 2-0 lead.
And that's a really hard pass to make cross ice towards your D. If you're Navy, you should have had a person right there to have a stick in that passing lane or just a body in that lane.
Yeah, and you saw it there in that last replay. The defenseman just a little bit late. And then one that Smarghese is probably going to want back, but a very smart goal scorer, and Daniel Prasma is going to find that little hole that you see there along the post, just not quite sealed. And there it goes, right between the goaltender and the post to make it 3-0.
And that's a low percentage shot. I mean, from behind the goal line, you rarely see goals like that go in.
Yeah, and it's with the last goal we saw, and it's been a while since we've seen one since. Hopefully we see some more in the third period. We're going to take one more break, and we'll be back with the final 20 minutes after this.
Welcome to Moe's! At Moe's, we've always been inviting, but we have a bigger story to tell. A place that welcomes you to be you. Fresh, high-quality ingredients. We got that. Go ahead, do your thing. Come on, let's get weird. We don't judge. Moe's wants you to come in with your crew and their appetites. Dine in, pick up, or order on the Mo Rewards app. Either way, don't just stroll in, roll all in to Moe's Southwest Grill.
We talk forever about the future. Worry about it, or wish it closer. We try to glimpse the places we'll go, from ocean depths to the far side of the moon. At NC State University, the future is a thing you make, with bright ideas, new tools, and a wolf pack behind you. Tell us where you're headed. We'll help you get there. NC State. Think and do.
When you look at me, you might see
a person with Parkinson's disease.
But if you look closer,
You'll see
A warrior mom.
an endurance athlete.
someone with a lot of fight.
Every 9 minutes, someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson Disease Association.
Look closer.
My spirit
Is unshakable.
Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show your support today.
When the game is on the line, championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing, because online safety is not something you want to fumble. Get more game-winning tips at CISA.gov/secure-our-world. Then share them with family and friends.
Children exposed to poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children with good air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this, providing filtration technology to school children with poor air quality through the Clean Air for Kids program, helping kids to breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, removing barriers to learning, reducing sick days, and increasing test scores. This is all key to environmental and climate justice. Find out how you can help at IQAirFoundation.org.
Well, I'm looking good. Thank you. Just became a real ID. What's the plan? Impromptu road trip? Actually, the plan is to fly to New York for today's product launch, and then visit the family in California and cap it off with a girls' weekend in New Orleans. You really can just do all that. Sure, I'm a real ID, so I'm good to board any domestic flight. Speaking of which, gotta fly. Nice. Enjoy. I'll be here.
Be your Real ID self today. To learn how, visit tsa.gov/realid or your local DMV.
The all-new ESPN app has arrived. It's all of ESPN all in one place. It's your home for the most and best live sports and a whole new way to experience ESPN. With over 47,000 live events, studio shows, and ESPN originals, and brand new features, it's a sports fan's dream. Joining a game late? Our Catch Up to Live feature shows you all the key plays and highlights. Track your fantasy team while you watch TV as well, and check out Multiview and watch up to 4 games at once. The future of sports has arrived, and it's called ESPN. So download the ESPN app on your TV or mobile device, log in, and start streaming.
Both teams headed back out onto the ice for the final 20 minutes of this one. First of 2 contests for these 2 teams. They'll be playing a midday matchup. I believe about a 1:30 puck drop is expected down in Fayetteville, as NC State and the Naval Academy will head down to Fort Bragg in Fayetteville and play on the military base. I think NC State's hoping, since it is not a naval base, that they will get the support down there. Of course, they do have the support here at home tonight. It's worked out for them so far.
I mean, if you just look in the stands, we have almost a pretty good full house. I would think so.
Yeah, I think it'll fill out a little bit more as this period gets started. The start of the game, too, it was a little bit more full as well. Probably about 75 to 80% of the seats were filled. Always a good atmosphere here at Invisalign. And for NC State, these first 97 seconds of penalty kill time are going to be important. We've talked about it. It feels like Navy is right on the cusp of finding something, and if they do get one, it feels like they could get a couple more as well. So no lead is safe. And what has come to be, I remember growing up, the most dangerous lead in hockey used to be 2 goals. Now it's 3 goals. There's just so much more offense in the game. That 3-goal lead can evaporate quickly, and a power play goal could start a comeback here for Navy. NC State able to clear here, though, early on in the period.
For Navy, it's kind of not an easy start. I mean, it totally depends on how you use this power play to your advantage, but you have a leg up against NC State right now.
They'll dump it in and try to go to work on the power play. Govea to it first. He'll sweep it right back around the boards and out again. And the first 37 seconds of power play time this period are gone, and there's less than a minute left on the man advantage. Back up that far side, speed for Fisher. He's going to split two defensemen, takes the shot, and it rises over the goal and out of play. That was one of the defensemen that the head coach of the Midshipmen and Ken Powers told us about to keep an eye on. He's got a lot of speed. You saw it there. We mentioned coming into tonight, leads all defensemen in points for the Midshipmen with 15, 6 goals, 9 assists. You can see why he's one of their point producers on the back end on that last play. NC State able to clear as that hops the stick of Chessinen out. It'll be shoveled right back in by Josh Reed, down to 34 seconds of power play time for Navy. Loose puck in the near circle, backhanded out of the zone by Giancani. That should kill off most of the rest of this penalty kill.
On the power play, you really want to get into the zone and settle down, but Navy has had a hard time doing that.
You look at the two power plays now that the Midshipmen have had, and very different in the way that they played out. Now, it doesn't help. NC State kind of gets a free clearance as the end of the period brings the face-off out to center ice to start the third. But when you can't get set up in the zone, when it gets knocked out and you have to try and reestablish, oftentimes power play never really finds itself again. That seems to be the case for Navy on that one. Icing the call here as the Midshipmen send it the length of the rink. 18:05 to go in the game. Still looking for our first shot this period. And NC State with a no-zone draw here.
Looks like NC State's kind of planning a play right off the face-off.
Spec do have a couple of set plays that they could go to in the offensive zone. Weren't able to win the face-off there, though. Still with pressure. Back behind the goal. Navy looking to set up Nahhouse. A bit of a tough pass to handle for Ian Cady. NC State keeps it in. Nahhouse, or rather Cady and Kaufman got tangled up a bit. Cady has the puck again, has some space now through the neutral zone. Down the far side, and he'll slide one in on Bartels, who sticks it up into the netting.
For Navy, it doesn't really take a lot for them to get the puck and get out of the zone. I feel like already we've seen kind of a shift in how they're kind of tackling their own zone.
Yeah, we're early in the period, but I have noticed they've been a little bit more inclined, and part of that certainly has to do with the power play, but a little more inclined to skate the puck in and possess rather than dump and chase, which they did for the majority of the first 40 minutes. They've got pressure again here, walking in front. Couple of chances on Bartels, and he seals it up in tight. That was Bobby Cunningham, but it'll stay 3-0.
You talked about the change in the dump and chase method, but sometimes when you possess the puck, it gives you more room to maybe do a cross-ice dump, have a winger pick it up on the other side.
And that's one thing. I was able to sit in and listen to Coach Healy talk about NC State's break, and we'll get back to that as Johnson comes in, takes the shot, looking 5-hole on Smarghese, who seals it off quickly. NC State still with it in the offensive end. Spinning with it, Lapani trying to send it deep. Fisher there, though, for the Midshipmen, and Navy's right back out. Nice little move there from Wallstrom, who steps around a defenseman. Out to play it, though, Bartels. NC State looking to break out. Good pressure here from the Naval Academy, though. Second breakout attempt finds Reese Johnson up the far side. He's going to loop it in right on goal, and Smarghese will call for the fair catch and stop play with 16:50 to go.
Chris, you talked about how Ammons and Herman kind of flip-flopped. Ammons was back on wing, and Herman went back to center, and that's kind of a difficult flip to go back to.
Yeah, very different. There's a lot more defensive responsibility for a center. You have to be able to play both ways if you're going to play in the middle of the ice. Breakout pass a little bit too far. NC State Had it and lost it. Back in comes Chesson. And he'll take another shot that ends up out of play. We're starting to see Navy dig in here in the third period. They've still got time, but that first goal needs to come here in the next few minutes, or they're going to start to be squeezed by that clock.
And the clock is not your friend.
Not when you're down 3-0, definitely not. Chesson's dump in is shut down by Govea, but he can't clear with an aerial pass. Chesson again, and as the last few of his shots have, it ends up in the netting behind the goal, and we'll have another offensive zone draw for the Midshipmen. Now Bartels going to have to go back to the NC State bench here for a moment. Might be some sort of equipment malfunction, but he'll take care of that. If you're NC State, this is feeling a little bit more like the beginning of the second period where Navy was really able to get things rolling. And I think that first goal this period is going to be really important. If NC State ends up 4-0, it's going to really feel like a steep mountain to climb for Navy. But if it goes to 3-1, you're the Midshipmen. It's like, all right, finally we've broken through and we know what to do. 4 minutes gone in this third period rather. Finch leaves it behind the net. Sodden absorbs a hit from Mason Root. Puck comes loose. Navy has it. Centering pass intercepted by Raleigh, but he can't clear. Second effort here from Finch up the near side. Will get it out into neutral ice. Pass for Raleigh though misses the target. And Benny Wad shoots it in, but it's going to be icing.
I mean, I feel like there's been a lot of stoppages so far in the first couple minutes of this period.
And I would say that would tend to favor Navy. If you're NC State, you'd like the game to flow, you'd like the clock to run. But I think the choppy play is going to help Navy out a little bit, especially considering the fact that here in this third period, they have controlled the face-off circle more often than not. In this case, NC State's Kaufman wins the draw. Cross-ice pass is chased down by Aiden Rady. He'll be forced off the puck. It's picked up by Fisher, who sweeps it back up the far wall for Mason Payne to hold it. They'll try and shovel it back down low. It's kicked out of the zone by Navy. They can't possess past their own blue line. Kaufman unable to control it. Trying to force it up the wall. Rudin. Pass now from Douglas Carr is intercepted. Rady shoots one. Rebound stopped as well, and the third try goes straight through the skates of the defenseman Darlene, who could have had a chance there, and now NC State will get a penalty as the stick came up into the cage of Holden Kaufman, and NC State gets their second power play of the night.
Darlene was right there for that rebound, but it got kind of lost in his skates.
And there was a look at that high stick down at the bottom of the screen. It's going to go against Carr. NC State had a decent first power play, at least initially. Like I said, it doesn't matter what level. Once the puck escapes the zone, it gets a lot more difficult to get set up and get in rhythm. NC State wins the ozone draw here. Krasma walking in from the top of the near circle. Wrist one that deflects wide. Chopped up the far wall. Ammon seals it on the boards. There are two penalty killers there for the Midshipmen. Nauhaus tries to clear. Labrizzi holds it into the blue line and plays it into the corner. Govea on for Ammons. He's got space to look things over. 20 seconds gone on the power play now. Labrizzi walks the blue line. Down for Prasman. Cross ice Ammons. One touch back into the middle. Pad save made by Marghese, and he'll cover up the rebound. That was great passing from NC State.
And I have to say, they did a great job of moving at the top of the umbrella. We saw Labrizzi and Ammons kind of move in a phenomenal job of trying to draw the defender in.
And you can see there, Marghese does a nice job. The puck was behind the net of making sure he's got low and the post sealed so that the puck can't really deflect off of him and in there. NC State back to it on the power play. Ammon centering pass deflects up and out. 1:16 left on the man advantage. NC State will swap up power play units as Herman, Shook, Gifford, Kaufman, and Darlene will head out now.
A key when you're on the power play is when you lose possession, you want to have two people on the puck. and the first power play unit really took that to heart.
Penalty kill unit is Penka, Wallstrom, Reed, and Fisher for Navy. Shook shot is blocked from the far blue line. He'll chase it down below the goal line, forced off the puck, and Fisher will backhand it up and out. Halfway through the power play, 6 minutes gone in the third period. NC State up 3-0. Last goal scored with 4:59 left in the first. It was Daniel Prasma. So we have gone over 30 minutes without a goal. Here's a shorthanded chance, though, brewing for Navy. Sam Zimmerman walking in, save made on the near side, shot by Bartels, and NC State heads right back the other way. Speed for Herman down the far side. He'll take the shot, and it catches the boards behind. And now Navy clears it back up. Finding an open man, though, Ian Cady will bring it in. His shot misses high from the top of the slot, and again, NC State will look to move back out. Just 15 seconds left on the man advantage as it's lugged forward by Gifford. He's cleanly pickpocketed by Benny Wad, who floats it to the middle. Laughlin having trouble corralling, but NC State pretty much out of power play time here. Both teams now 0 for 2 on the man advantage. Gifford on the near wall, fresh out of the box. NC State moves back the other way. Herman slides it down low, Giancani. Now Chesson, he's upended. NC State gets back possession and play will carry on. Down low, Finch sweeps it back up the wall for Smith. He's bodied up along the half boards. Puck trickles back down low, Josh Reed to it. He's going to look forward. His clearance blocked up by Kyler Sun, and they'll jam away at it along the wall. Finch to it in the corner now. 12:15 left in the game. Navy struggling to get out. Finally they do, as Kyler Sun couldn't get a stick to it, but there's not going to be a forecheck from Navy. They need a wholesale change. NC State trying to take advantage. Pass through the middle from Connie. Misses everybody. Midshipmen back in control. Millinette looking up the far side. He's got Cunningham. Cunningham loses possession in the corner. He worked around the wall. Back up for Blake Powers. Play catch. Here's Millinette, shot stopped up in the middle of the slot. Going to be gloved down, and NC State can control as Kyler Sun chips and chases here for the Ice Bet. And they'll chip it a little bit too far. This is going to be icing on NC State with 11:34 to go in the period, but time slowly starting to bleed away on the Navy midshipmen here, Grace.
I have to say that last play by Navy, I mean, that was a great passing sequence. That's what I really expect from Navy.
Definitely going to need more of that in period number 3 here in the final 11.5 minutes. It looks like this is where Coach Powers is going to elect to call his timeout. I gotta wonder what he's telling his team right now. They've done a lot of things right, and it hasn't necessarily shown entirely on the score.
No, I mean, just by doing the little things, they've done a much better job of getting the puck out, but I think it really matters to show that you're not a scoreless, you don't want a scoreless game on the score sheet, so.
I wonder too, one of his top lines was just out there. Nealke was out there. Millinette is on that top line, along with, I believe it's Laughlin and Cunningham. We've seen them really be the most dangerous line. I wonder if he wanted to give them a rest, even though it does allow NC State to rest some bodies. I do wonder if he wanted to give them a rest and send them back out there. That's exactly what it looks like he will do. Actually, misspoke, not Laughlin, Wallstrom. So Millinette, Wallstrom, and Cunningham. Kaufman will be centering Prasma and Rady here with Darlene and Payne as the defenseman. Rady chips it out of the zone. Prasma will get in on the forecheck on Tushy and steal it away just inside the blue line. He looks to the middle for Rady, who carries it below the goal. He'll circle around into the near corner. Leaves it there, has some help from Kaufman. Under pressure from Cunningham. Kaufman turns away from the Navy captain and plays it up top. Darlene slaps it across to the wall for Prasma. Trying to turn away from pressure. He's double teamed there, and Sean Millinette will clear. Darlene from the red line, trying to weave through traffic, can't gain access to the offensive end. Now Kaufman fans on the dump in, second attempt, will slide down to the defenseman Jason Fisher. Leaves it for Benny Wad, who spins it right back. The near wall, Rudin has a man in the middle, that's Wad. He'll walk it in, has some pace down to the goal line, sliding it out in the middle. NC State to it first. Ice Pack doing a really good job being the first to the puck in front of their own net.
And if you're Navy, that is something you don't want to see. You want to have some sort of net front presence. I mean, if they had one of their players right in front, that would have been a sweet opportunity for them.
And I will say, I will give Navy some credit there. While they might not have the presence, the exact presence they want in front of the net, particularly that last sequence, I feel like they did have a couple of bodies there in the slot, and we've talked about sometimes it's just puck luck. They haven't had the bounces tonight, and sometimes that's how it goes. It's been, especially after the first period, it's been a very evenly played game between these two teams. The Navy looking to go back on the attack. Jason Fisher dispossessed along that far wall as he enters the zone, and puck will escape momentarily, so offsides is the call. 10:06 to play. And Bartels, 22 saves so far against Navy.
And he has been a name we have continually talked about on the broadcast. He has been a great asset to NC State.
And you free up the team in front of you a bit as well when you have a goaltender back there who you're confident in, especially on a night like this when he's playing well. Ammons with the steal in the offensive zone. His centering pass is popped up in the air and out into the neutral zone. Lapani back for it. Linesman lost an edge with the dump it. NC State on the forecheck. Ammons there, putting pressure on Josh Reed. Puck knocked loose. Lapani slaps at it, and Smargazy decides his team needs a break and gets a glove to it to stop play.
I've been noticing Smargazy has been telling some of his players, especially when they were on the penalty kill, he was telling some of his players, like, you need to watch behind me, you need to watch this defender, you need to watch who's out in front of me.
Well, that's another thing that you don't always think about a goaltender is he's kind of that field general, specifically in the defensive zone in cases like that, like you highlighted. Cunningham forcing the issue into the zone, trying to play it back up the wall. That's shut down by Herman, and then the centering pass is all the way down the ice. It'll be a free clearance for NC State. Midshipmen starting to run out of time here. Down 3-0 with just over 9 to play. The forecheck back to work for NC State. Ammons up top for Smith, across to Sodden, and his shot off the blocker of Smargazy, who was able to find the pop-up and get a glove on it. We'll have an offensive zone draw for NC State here. This could have been dangerous, though, for the goaltender. Fortunately for him, you see from that angle, it kind of popped out in front of him. If that ends up behind him where he can't see it, it could end up in the net. Sodden has it for NC State off the draw. Shot through traffic. Big save from Smargazy to keep it 3-0. Centering pass intended for Shook is on and off his stick. Cam Smith trying to play it down that far wall, and that's shut down. Cross ice pass for Mason Gruden. He'll hand it off as they enter the zone for Ian Cady. Cady works it down low. Smith finds a loose puck up for Govea, who can't clear. Wristed in towards Bartels, just wide for Cady there. Forecheck starting to pay some dividends here for Navy. Still hasn't turned into a goal yet, though. Reed having some trouble on the near blue line. Puck squirts loose for Patrick Waffle. Back up top for Reed. His shot hits a stick and floats out of play. Now 8 minutes left. Just watching the clock tick down here on the Midshipmen's chances. But a lot of credit to NC State's Pieter Bartelse. Great game. And he needs to continue for about 8 more minutes now. Whistle right off the draw, they'll redo it. NC State will switch things up in the face-off circle. Brandon Raleigh will take the draw here. And it's Midshipmen able to control. Tushy in the corner, he gets tangled up and loses his footing. NC State able to get to the loose puck. Finch, saucer pass forward for Connie, backhanded back across. Finch able to corral, and he'll throw it in on goal. Trouble for Smargazy. He's scrambling around in the blue paint. His defense able to help him out as now Fisher sends it back out. Darlene to Raleigh, who slaps it down behind the goal. Smargazy tied up with Finch, who takes it away. Time in front, and they score! Gian Connie takes advantage of the turnover, and a panicking Smargazy couldn't make the save. NC State finally adds another goal.
I feel like that's a goalie's nightmare, to get caught behind your own net and not make it back in time. But Connie was ready for the puck to kind of come out in front of the net and was positioned perfectly for that.
Well, Austin Finch has been creating trouble in the offensive zone all shift there. He should, I believe, get an assist on that one. But that was the goal NC State needed, and it starts to feel like more of an insurmountable lead if you're Navy, with a 4-goal deficit and just 7 minutes and now 15 seconds remaining.
In a scoreless period, no more.
It took about 12 minutes and 32 seconds of time to get that goal here in the third period. I'll do the quick math here in a second. Pinball in front of the net. Bartels able to keep it out, as Navy not giving up. Well, this is a pretty unshakable bunch for the Midshipmen, as NC State's got an odd man rush. Prasma out to Rady. Big save by Smargazy, and he'll hold on.
And for Navy, I mean, you have 6 minutes left. You really want to limit the scoring to 0. I mean, as much as you would like to score 5 goals within 6 minutes, I think it's attainable, but your main mission right now is to limit NC State's chances.
We're going to have a little bit of a delay here, I think. There's a good 10 to 15 seconds that ran off the clock after the whistle blew. And so they're going to reset that. I saw it at 6:34 when I noticed Navy pointing up at the scoreboard. They're going to reset it to 6:37. As I was saying, pretty unshakable bunch for Navy. All of these guys will in some way, shape, or form end up in military service after graduation. One-timer off the draw doesn't get through for Kyler's son. But another thing to keep in mind, you think about, these are our college kids, at a military academy, but it's more than that. Talking with Coach Powers before the game, one of the things he mentioned that was impressive is out of last year's team, 4 guys are now Navy SEALs. And you think about that, the NC State's playing most likely against at least a couple of future Navy SEALs. Really tough, physically fit, and hard to play against guys. So this is an impressive showing from NC State. And again, we talked about the struggles of last weekend. We haven't seen really much of any of those struggles here in this game against Navy tonight.
And to echo what Coach Powers said, it was pretty, I feel like a kind of an eye-opener for him to explain what some of his members of his team, their future plans.
Mandatory 2 hours exercise every day. So a lot of things you have to commit yourself to, and you have to be disciplined, extremely disciplined, to do what those guys do. Well, this is an undisciplined change for Navy. Ammons has a chance, but he's going to have to take a shot from far out because Tushy was able to get in and cut off the angle and shut down that opportunity.
But I have to say, Chris, all of these players have one thing in common. They love hockey, and they continue to play.
And that's the thing. You go back to Navy pointing out the clock running down. They're not going to give up on this game until the clock hits 0. I think that's evidence of that. They want all the time that they're supposed to have the chance to come back. NC State, though, has hemmed them into their own end for a large portion of this third period. We finally able to break out. Chopped down by Andrew Penka, who will carry it into the zone. Played down low and into the corner. Pass through the middle, misses Penka. And NC State able to clear the zone. Gifford going to chase it down now in the far corner. Tucci on him. Turns away from that hit and finds Govea handling. Govea dispossessed by Sean Millinette. Stretch pass out of the zone. It'll be too long for Wallstrom, and it's icing.
You talked about how Navy is going to play every second of the rest of this game, but I feel like this entire game they have played through every single whistle, which says a lot about a team.
Yeah, I think that there's certainly disadvantages as a coach in terms of like how you're able to recruit for a team like this, and it's certainly going to be a more limited pool of players to choose from. But one of the advantages you do have is the discipline and the rigidity of the schedule for these guys. Creates a mindset that has a team that's didn't necessarily have their best in the first period, but it feels like for most of this game, maybe here in the third period, they've seen it dip, but for most of the game, the way they played has been on the rocks, and their game has been trending upward. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the consistency of the effort that they give. Shot from the blue line, blocked by Gian Connie. Blake Powers will track down his rebound. Navy will try to advance again. Cross ice pass, that puck hopping all over the place. Trouble for both teams to settle down. Wallstrom with speed, using his edges to cut into the zone, trying to drop it off for Cunningham. That pass disrupted, and NC State will advance out. Raleigh shoots it in from the red line. Pack will go off for a change as we're under 4 minutes to play. Prasma on the forecheck on the near side, almost took it away. Cunningham there, he gets hit hard by Aiden Brady, who broke his stick in the process, and the captain of the Midshipmen gonna head straight to the bench. He took a heavy licking from Aiden Brady, who throws it off the blocker of Smarghese. Another try from the side of the goal. It's loose, they'll jam away, and it pops out into the corner. NC State not shying away here late in the game either. Sodden will play it back down low. Up the near wall. Spun to the middle for Butler Chesson. All alone as his teammates go off for a change, so he sends it in himself and will go off as well. Stretch pass for Rady, just off the mark. Josh Reed has it for the Midshipmen. Centering pass caught at the skates of Carr. He'll throw it off the glass. Kaufman, though, there will shut it down. Now Mason Payne advances for the Pack. Looking to chip his way around Blake Powers, unable to get back to the puck. And Mason Rudin will go back the other way. For Carr. He can't take the puck with him, and he's going to take a penalty here in front of the NC State bench. Bit of a hit from behind on Zach Herman is what it looked like, and for most of the rest of this game, NC State is going to be on the man advantage. It'll be a cross-checking call.
Chris, I thought that was so funny when you saw Mason Payne, a defender, kind of bringing the puck in, and there was no one else. I mean, talk about not bad timing, but it was kind of funny to see how everyone else trickled in right after him. Kind of a delay.
Sometimes what happens on a change, but NC State will have the power play here. Prasma, Johnson, Govea, Labrizzi, and Ammons out there on the man advantage. Defensively, Nahaus and Wad out there for Navy. The two forwards are Katie and Zimmerman. Over to Ammons. His shot rings the pipe. Good chance there. Rebound will be cleared, but not all the way out as Prasma takes a heavy hit at the blue line while holding the zone. Ammons button hooks along the wall, drops it off for Labrizzi. He finds Johnson down low. Johnson searches the high slot, and it's deflected in. I think it went off the stick of the defenseman Benny Wad, so this should be Johnson's goal. Either way, 5-0 Pack.
And on the power play nonetheless.
1:43 left in the game. And this is exactly, I think, the kind of effort that head coach Tim Healy and his coaching staff wanted to see out of the Ice Pack after the way that the game ended last weekend against Westchester. On top of that, I talked to him before practice last night, and he said that their practice on Tuesday wasn't the best either. They had to do some extra skating, but the team has responded. Not always going to have your best, but they've done a good job bouncing back here, at least in this first game against Navy. Two teams will be back in action again tomorrow down in Fayetteville. Gifford with the backhand try. Stuffs it on the rebound, still loose along the side of the goal. Marghese able to seal that off. Now Nick Shook back up to the blue line. Payne goes D-to-D for Lapani. His slap shot, looks like Gouveia got a piece of it. Marghese makes the save anyhow, and a hand pass will stop play with 56.7 seconds to go.
With 56.7 seconds left, I mean, you don't want to do anything to jeopardize ending the game on a good note.
NC State with a 34-27 advantage in shots, as well as that 5-0 lead. For Bartels, looking for the shutout here against the Naval Academy. I think he's certainly going to be our star of the game. We'll get to talk with the netminder after this one comes to a conclusion. Finch plays it across the blue line for Mason Payne to carry in. He'll slide it through the middle. Nobody there in a black jersey. Finch back to it in the near corner. He'll play it up the wall to Gianfani. He does everything he can just to keep it in. Now Navy has the space to skate it out. Patrick Laughlin cuts through the high slot. Too many black jerseys there, and now Brandon Raleigh looks to hack it out of the zone. Navy holds it in. Waves of pressure. Rudin trying to play it down deep. 5 seconds left in this contest. Maybe one more shot. Save made there by Bartels, and he'll pick up the shutout as NC State takes down Navy 5-0 in the first of back-to-back games here between these two squads this weekend.
And for both teams, it's kind of nice to play each other back-to-back. I mean, you have some sort of familiarity with each team. You know what players are going to produce, what players have the speed, are kind of a little more physical than others. So it'll be interesting to see tomorrow how Navy will try to hold back NC State after they had a dominant win.
Yeah, and I think the score doesn't necessarily reflect how close the game was. I mean, 34-28, we don't get the shots on goal. I think that's a little bit better of an indicator. We talked about it at the second intermission. If Navy had just had a couple of bounces go their way, not even necessarily a puck that bounces into the net, but just a puck in a scramble in front that bounces to the right guy in the right place. We saw that on a couple of replays throughout the course of the game, and sometimes this is just how it goes. You don't necessarily have your A game if you're Navy, as we talked about a lot. You're coming back from a little over a month off, so even a full game, while it did look like they got to their game, there are probably still little things that they can sense that we can't necessarily see here up in the booth. But to add all of that in, I think Navy played a good game, and it'll be really interesting to see how they're able to play after a short turnaround tomorrow, because after the first period, NC State did outshoot Navy 26-19, but they only outscored them 2-0. It was a tight game through the final 40 minutes.
I agree with everything you just said. And for Navy, you haven't had a game, you haven't played, I mean, you've had practice, but you haven't played at game speed. So this is definitely not a wake-up call for them, because they played an amazing 60 minutes of, I want to say they played very consistently. They just weren't lucky when it came to getting the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah, and that could very much flip on its head tomorrow, and you could see the opposite score for Navy and NC State tomorrow, with the Midshipmen taking home the win. They'll be at Cleveland Ice Rink down on Fort Bragg tomorrow. It should be about a 1:30 puck drop, so if you're doing the quick math, we're talking about roughly 14 hours or so until the two teams get back at it. You have to also make that about hour and a half drive down to the Fayetteville area as well. So a lot of factors will go into that game tomorrow. But for NC State, big win, and like we said, the kind of game they needed after the way last weekend ended.
And that does a lot for your momentum. I mean, coming off of a game with this big of a goal differential will help you go into tomorrow's game.
Yeah, and we didn't really talk about it a whole lot this weekend, but even though the Ice Pack played well, they did lose 3 games on that trip out west, and then splitting the games last weekend when it's not necessarily expected to win both, but you know you can. So to start the new semester 1-4 is definitely a rough start. To get back to your game and not just play, to me, one of their best and most complete games of the season, but to also have it show on the scoreboard in a 5-0 win. Again, I think that goes to the confidence building aspect of it for this NC State team. Well, they've sung the alma mater with the frigid sound down in that corner on the far side. Now you see them headed to the locker room with a 5-0 win. We're going to step aside. When we come back, Grace will have a chat with the goaltender who got the shutout tonight, Pieter Bartelse, and we'll wrap things up post-game. NC State, 5-0 winners over Navy.
Welcome to Moe's! At Moe's, we've always been inviting, but we have a bigger story to tell. A place that welcomes you to be you. Fresh, high-quality ingredients. We got that. Go ahead, do your thing. Come on, let's get weird. We don't judge. Moe's wants you to come in with your crew and their appetites. Dine in, pick up, or order on the Mo Rewards app. Either way, don't just stroll in, roll all in to Moe's Southwest Grill.
We talk forever about the future. Worry about it, or wish it closer. We try to glimpse the places we'll go. From ocean depths to the far side of the moon. At NC State University, the future is a thing you make. With bright ideas, new tools, and a wolf pack behind you. Tell us where you're headed. We'll help you get there. NC State. Think and do.
When you look at me, you might see
a person with Parkinson's disease.
But if you look closer,
you'll see
a warrior mom,
an endurance athlete,
someone with a lot of fight.
Every 9 minutes, someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson Disease Association.
Look closer.
My spirit
is unshakable.
Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show your support today.
When the game is on the line, championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing. Because online safety is not something you want to fumble. Get more game-winning tips at CISA.gov/secure-our-world. Then share them with family and friends.
Children exposed to poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children with good air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this, providing filtration technology to school children with poor air quality through the Clean Air for Kids program, helping kids to breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, removing barriers to learning, reducing sick days, and increasing test scores. This is all key to environmental and climate justice. Find out how you can help at IQAirFoundation.org.
Well, I'm looking good. Thank you. Just became a real ID. What's the plan? Impromptu road trip? Actually, the plan is to fly to New York for today's product launch, and then visit the family in California, and cap it off with a girls' weekend in New Orleans. You really can just do all that. Sure, I'm a real ID, so I'm good to board any domestic flight. Speaking of which, gotta fly. Nice. Enjoy. I'll be here.
Be your Real ID self today. To learn how, visit tsa.gov/realid or your local DMV.
We talk forever about the future. Worry about it, or wish it closer. We try to glimpse the places we'll go. From ocean depths to the far side of the moon. At NC State University, the future is a thing you make. With bright ideas, new tools, and a wolf pack behind you. Tell us where you're headed. We'll help you get there. NC State. Think and do.
Why are sandwiches so much better hot?
I don't know. Why does everyone love summer or hot gossip? Hotter is just better. Oh, don't forget about hot ovens. Or hot peppers. Hot springs, hot chocolate. Hot sandwiches.
Ooh.
Hot soup, hot air balloons. Hot yoga.
I get it. Hotter is better.
Or hot melted cheese.
Sorry.
Potbelly, we bring the hot.
Welcome to Moe's!
At Moe's, we've always been inviting, but we have a bigger story to tell. A place that welcomes you to be you. Fresh, high-quality ingredients. We got that. Go ahead, do your thing. Come on, let's get weird. We don't judge. Moe's wants you to come in with your crew and their appetites. Dine in, pick up, or order on the Mo Rewards app. Either way, don't just stroll in, roll all in to Moe's Southwest Grill.
We talk forever about the future. Worry about it, or wish it closer. We try to glimpse the places we'll go. From ocean depths to the far side of the moon. At NC State University, the future is a thing you make. With bright ideas, new tools, and a wolf pack behind you. Tell us where you're headed. We'll help you get there. NC State. Think and do.
Welcome back to Invisalign Arena for post-game. I'm here with NC State's phenomenal goaltender, Pieter Bartelse. Pieter, congratulations on your first shutout.
Thank you. That one feels good.
You gave NC State, I feel like, some peace of mind being back there. So the game ended with a large goal differential. What does that do for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sets the tone for tomorrow, especially coming off a tough weekend last weekend. Just kind of get our bearings back and, put some pucks behind the net.
Navy really had some speed coming out in the first period. So how did you feel settling into the game early on?
Yeah, I always tend to like when it's a little bit faster paced, when it starts out, really easy to kind of settle in there. So, it was good to see some shots early and a couple big saves.
So do you think it's easier when you're getting peppered by a lot of shots, or it's a kind of harder when you're kind of haven't been seeing a lot of shots in a certain period, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty even keel, but I like to. I guess that was the perfect amount of shots apparently, so I'll take it.
So you guys came off a tough loss against Westchester. So how do you feel like this win kind of shift the mood?
Yeah, I think it's always good to just see the puck go in sometimes, and our power play was clicking a little bit, and I think it's just good for the overall confidence of the group.
I feel like the puck went in more than a couple times tonight, but you guys get to see them again tomorrow. I mean, you have a little bit of drive, not as much as Navy did, obviously. So a lot of people can see this as a good or a bad thing. I mean, you have some sort of familiarity, but I mean, you have kind of a quick turnaround. So what are the boys thinking?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to want to get us back tomorrow for sure. So that's always something to think about. But I think that we'll be ready to go, get some sleep tonight, and go off to Fort Bragg.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations again. I'm Grace Motto, and Chris will be back with Coach Healy after this.
Chris Lehman back with head coach Tim Healy of the Ice Pack after a 5-0 win over the Navy Midshipmen. And coach, the first place I want to start, since you are a former goaltender, is between the pipes. Pieter Bartelse gets his first shutout for you guys.
Well, I think the great part about it is if you watch the end of the game, you saw how the guys really tightened up because they wanted to get that shutout for him. And, you know, a lot of teams are up 5-0. It's kind of, nope, but they went out there. And that's because of really a tribute to him and how hard he works every single practice. And he showed it tonight. He was great tonight. You know, that second period, that could have gotten back to 3-2. Navy made a really good push there. But Pieter, you know, kind of, shut the door. And then in the third period, we were able to stretch it and pull it away. And that's, you know, him giving us that opportunity to pull away with it by how he played all night, but in particular the second period.
Yeah, and you talk about that push from Navy in the second period. It felt like Navy was kind of in a situation a little bit like you guys were last weekend where they could get the puck around the net a lot, but they couldn't put it in the back of the net. And I think some of that is because when we talked about net front presence with you guys, there was a lot more of that tonight.
Well, we did, and we changed up our D zone more to what we had when we were with Liberty and Delaware in that stretch. So we made some adjustments coming off of last weekend, and it is a little bit of bend but don't break. Like, we'll give up some shots, but we're not going to give up those high dangers. We're going to be there to clear rebounds. And again, credit to Pieter, his rebound control tonight. I mean, how many pucks kicked up into the netting?
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, we made note of that in the third period. It felt like every 10 seconds he was putting one up into the netting, and it was really chopping up the game. But as we look at the
chopping
offensive...
up our puck budget, too.
As you look at the other end of the ice, putting the puck in the net, you guys did a great job of that tonight. You find the back of the net 5 times. How does that help the confidence offensively?
Well, I think in particular, right, you know, that 21 line with Shook, Gifford, and Govea, they were fantastic tonight. So I think having Shook back in the mix and his legs back under him. But really, I thought all 4 lines were great, right? You saw that hard-working goal from the Raleigh, Finch, and Connie line where, Finch wins a puck battle on the boards with the goalie, kicks it out in front. And G just smart and go there. And Raleigh is working hard down low. And then that power play goal was nice at the end because I thought, the first couple of power plays, we had some good chances. I liked what we saw, just didn't come out with it. So it was good to get one there. And, especially since Ammons rimmed it off the crossbar before that, again, on good puck movement. So I was glad to see the power play get rewarded.
Yeah, and I mentioned to you before we came on camera here, it felt like one of the best 60-minute efforts from your team all season. Now, you have to turn around in a little over 12 hours and play the same team again. And after the first period, even in the first period, even though it was 3-0, they played you guys pretty evenly for most of the game. How do you take the effort tonight and translate it tomorrow down at
a couple of things. This is where our depth will come in. We have some fresh legs to put in the lineup. We'll bring in Rinaldi and Patterson tomorrow. Rinaldi's, if you remember at the Governor's Cup game, he was fantastic, but he actually sprained his ankle. He's training to run a marathon and sprained his ankle with that. So it's a tough one, right? He's obviously keeping himself in shape over break, but, bringing in that, he's healed and ready to go. So, we have some fresh legs. Roberts, who was out last weekend with an injury, he's back. So, having that fresh stuff, especially in net, it's tough to go almost like a catcher in baseball, a day game after a night game. So we have that luxury bringing Roberts in tomorrow, which is huge.
Yeah, and it should be another really good game down at the Cleveland Ice Rink in Fayetteville. That's the next time you will hear from us. But for tonight, NC State, a 5-0 win over Navy.
Whoa. By the way, Raleigh hockey tonight, 9-1 in the Panthers, 14-1 tonight in Raleigh hockey. So let's go, North Carolina.
Yeah,
raise up on that one.
If you're in Raleigh tonight, lots of goals for the home teams. Well, hopefully we see some more goals tomorrow. We'll head out for tonight. NC State, 5-0 winners.
Go Pack.